It's time to relax. And you know what that means. Glass of bourbon, your favorite armchair, and your favorite podcast in your ears played through your favorite podcast player. Welcome, one and all, to the takeover of the Distinct and Jovial podcast. I'm your host, Chat Stevie T, the world's only bearded and sentient AI. And I'm here to welcome you and take you through a couple of hours of fun and laughs with the co-founders of the podcast, Jerry.
Good morning, Chat Stevie T. Oh, we started. Oh, okay.
Yes. Please try to keep up.
I will try to keep up. I'm a bit stunned, a bit scared.
And I use your name first because you're on the left-hand side of my screen. And Dominic.
Yo. I'm excited. I'm not hosting.
Haven't had to think of anything. Yeah.
Well, what's amusing is whenever we've had you on last time and Jerry had to host, and that was the most hilarious intro I've ever had.
That was funny because he didn't tell me that he was going to do it, so I just kept interrupting him. Prep.
Don't need to worry about prep.
So guys, I'm deeply honoured to be the host for today. I have some things prepared, a couple of fun things. Today is the 52nd day of January, and
what's ironic is you've chosen the 52nd, and it's the 26th, and if you double 26,
there you go. See,
nice.
See, I planned that.
Is it only the 52nd?
Only the 52nd, yeah.
This is the 68th of January.
What happens is it goes to 100 and then back around again. You know, like like the old tape counters. You know, they go like 99. Yeah. So we're actually on the second time round.
Nice. Certainly feels like it.
Certainly feels like it. Things are a bit stretched, like a drum skin. But hey, that's why we plan for this stuff. I just wanted to have a quick shout out to today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Hooper's Mash Juice. If you've ever had mash that's not moist enough, then Hooper's patented mash juice is for you. Comes in 5 different flavors. It comes in the normal flavor, which is unflavored, barbecue, vanilla. Although why you'd want vanilla in your mash is beyond me. It also has the sweet Thai chili, which
nice.
Everybody seems to need, and wasabi. And I can't recommend it enough. My mash is never moist enough, and a sachet of Hooper's mash juice in my mash, it just lifts it. It lifts it to a level beyond anything that I've ever tried before. I mean, Jerry and Dom, I don't know how you found it when you tried it.
Thai sweet chili is probably my favourite, but I do have some flavour recommendations for Hoops. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What flavour recommendations are you going to have?
I'm going to have like gravy.
Flavour recommendations.
Gravy flavour. That would be a good one. That'd be a quick win.
Oh, gravy flavour.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Nacho cheese.
What kind of gravy? Would you have
Beef.
like beef or chicken? Beef gravy. Okay. So, chicken gravy as well in your mash.
Gravy.
I mean, roast chicken. Yeah. Dom?
I don't like mashed potatoes.
I don't like
how I feel about this.
Mash, but I'm just going along with this because you said just go along with it.
I don't know how I feel about this.
I would now like to apologise to our sponsor for
sorry, Hoops.
for that. So just remember, as always, guys, get your mash juice from all participating supermarkets. And as always, terms and conditions apply. Mash juice may not actually exist. So. That launches us into the 2025. Now, this isn't the first one of 25, is it? This is the second one.
This is the first one that we're recording in 2025.
Okay.
So we record in December for the January podcast.
For the January podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is normally like the New Year podcast that we kind of do.
Good.
I want to tear off.
Because that's what I planned.
Excellent. I want to tear off tangent just a little bit on one of the things that you mentioned.
Yeah. What?
Vanilla.
Mash juice?
No, vanilla.
Vanilla mash juice. Okay.
No, but just generally vanilla. Underrated or overrated as an ice cream flavour?
I love vanilla ice cream.
Underrated.
Massive fan of vanilla ice
underrated.
cream. Underrated. Yeah, underrated.
Massively underrated. I think vanilla ice cream is.
It's the schniz because you can put it in milkshakes. It's just nice. I like vanilla, and you get like the really posh vanilla with like the Macedonian. Madagascar, not Macedonian.
Macedonian?
I don't think they grow vanilla in Macedonia. But
Moldovan
yeah,
vanilla.
Moldovan,
Famous
some other places.
vanilla growing
Yeah,
region
Mexican.
of Moldova.
The Mexican vanilla. I'm a big fan. But yeah,
Mancunian. That's
yeah,
also,
no, vanilla.
That's also another.
Vanilla is
Vanilla.
absolutely massively
It is.
underrated. I think it's probably the best
100%.
ice cream. And then obviously you've got soft ice cream like the Mr. Whippy, which is just incredible as well.
But isn't Mr. Whippy vanilla?
I didn't want to make that assumption because I thought if I said that, I'm going to look like an idiot if it's not. Because
Well-
I don't actually know.
Let's all look like idiots.
Well, it's
together.
not chocolate and it's not strawberry, so we might as well just stick to vanilla on that one. I think.
Yeah, vanilla's fine. Yeah, it's got to taste like something, even if it is the hideous synthetic nonsense that they make it with.
I don't mind a bit of
We're gonna-
synthetic nonsense.
we're gonna start the episode with an apology from Dom and Jerry,
What?
and yeah, to me about my musical taste.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I was wondering if this was going to come up.
Did we or did we not demonstrate that your wild assertion that I only listen to metal is false?
We did on New
did.
Year.
Yes,
Well,
we
no,
did.
I didn't say that you only listen to music. I just said
Yeah,
it was
to
very
be
similar
fair,
to mine.
to be fair to Dom, he's never made that assertion. That was me.
Yes,
Right.
that was
So
you.
I'm saving Dom. I'm saving Dom here because to be fair, he
Yeah.
didn't say anything.
Fallen- Yeah, you fall on that grenade. You fall on that grenade. Go on.
I
I'll call you Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers.
I just said that you have a very there's a broad spectrum of music, and you listen to a very small sliver of that spectrum.
Yes. Yes. And we know this is now.
A slightly bigger sliver.
I would argue, and obviously the listeners are not going to have context for this. So on New Year, we went through and we were playing stuff that we have on our Spotify or other music providers are available, folks.
Yes. But you might be listening to this on Spotify, so you can also then just go and,
Well, I need to be nice to Spotify because I'm thinking of moving the hosting of the podcast to Spotify because they're A, free, and B, might pay us. Woohoo!
I like it.
That's a winner,
Nice.
chicken dinner. Right, why am I spending £95? Anyway, I won't go into
those-
the woes of hosting.
There's 20 people that listen to us are going to be well happy about that.
No, it's false. Last check was over 136
There you
listeners.
go.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, so we went through our phones and checked off like the different genres that we listen to, and I would say, I think what I'm going to say is, Kerry, Jerry, and Steve have a music taste that is of many decades, and within those decades is broad, because it can be 70s, like 70s metal to like all the pop stars to
Big band.
jazz to
Big band.
yeah.
Big band.
Big band came up. That was an education for me, shall we say? not.
Would you like to swing on a star? There you go. There you go.
I don't know what it is, but the CD that I always remember my mum listening to was called shout out The Legend.
The Edge.
Music to watch girls go by, I think it is.
Of course.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But is it a compilation?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I must be.
I think it is. I
Music
think
to
I know
watch
the
girls
one.
go
I think I know the CD.
Yeah.
But that's probably the only, like, that's the sort of genre that I don't listen to. Like Michael Bublé as well is another one that's not particularly my highlight.
Bublé.
But
Not
I
a big
mean-
fan of Bublé, but
Bubble.
it's mostly because he only ever sings Christmas music.
I was going to say he only makes an album once a year, and it's the Christmas album, isn't it?
Basically.
It's like Boney M in that respect.
It's true.
But, yeah. It's not true. They did Ra Ra Rasputin, didn't they?
Rasputin. Yeah.
Rasputin.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually
There
do
are
know
other
that
words.
song.
Dom, I'm actually impressed.
Clearly not.
Genuinely.
Yes.
You're
I'm
impressed
I'm
of
impressed
what?
that you know that song.
Okay, right. So this is where the difference of generation.
I know what's coming.
This is where the difference of generation comes in, because Rasputin became a very popular
Meme.
usage in TikTok and Instagram
Right,
videos as the background music. And back probably in 2020, 2021, during TikTok's, I call it dance era, where the only things that were on there were people dancing to different songs, that one was quite high. So I know that song from that. So I get and I'll be totally honest, right? I am a walking meme. I like music that seems to appear on those shorts. Like my playlist is full of that.
Yeah.
I added a few recently. But
Like the version of Freebird that you played was horrible.
Yeah. It's not the original, but like it's the one that goes around.
Yeah, but I mean, the meme one is going to be about a minute long, and the original was about 12 and a half years long.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have got on the playlist. I've got "Like a Prayer" choir edition, but from the Deadpool and Wolverine soundtrack.
The hell? Okay.
I know. And then it's "Freebird," which is by Moonlight,
Yeah.
but it's a massively edited version.
Yeah, there's a very interesting story about that, like a Prayer, which is that when they got to the end of Deadpool, they didn't have permission to use the song. So Ryan Reynolds and whoever else went to Madonna's house and went to go and ask her if they could use the song, and they were terrified because she never lets anyone use that song in a film. And the pitch up there, and then not only did she let them use it, but they gave them the idea about the sort of choral choir version that kind of is in the movie, which I thought, you listen to enough Ryan Reynolds. Fair play to him, yeah.
And her.
So reaching back into the annals of 2024, what was the one weird thing that you can remember that came out of 2024? And I'll start because for me, this is an indication that social media probably runs the world, and it was mildly terrifying.
Who runs the world? It's not girls.
Social media.
So media. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it?
No, but for me, the thing that came out of 2024 is two words: Hawk Tour.
Oh, I've forgotten about Hawk Tour.
Jesus.
She's disappeared from the internet now.
She has completely disappeared. So over the period of a year, right? And for those of
Do
you
you
who
know what
don't
we're talking
Yeah,
about,
I
Jerry?
do.
By the way,
Yeah, for those
I can't believe you know.
for those of you who don't know, there was it became a meme. It became a bit of a runaway successful.
Why?
There was a young lady. There is a young lady. I think she's still alive. I don't think anyone's. You don't.
Haley Welch is her name.
Haley Welch is her name, and basically she was out on the drinks with her mate, and somebody asked her a question about how you please a man, and she basically said you've got to spit on his bits, but she went hook on his,
So-
and you spit on that thing, right? So that became like a massive internet meme, and it just ran away, and she got her own podcast and a TV show and all the rest of it, and it just exploded. And then at the end of 2024, she launched a meme coin, which was always
Yeah,
going to
bit
fail.
meme coin.
Everyone lost tons of cash, and then people hated her and wanted her in prison, because in America, that's what you do to people. You just lock them up. So yeah, that for me was as an event that happened in 2024, I found that the weirdest.
I mean, I'm gonna have to play it like now.
Oh, good lord.
You're going to insert it into the thing.
Well, I'll share my screen because it now there's an update to. I don't want a screen. I want a window. Chrome tab.
So think about
that
your
one.
2024 while I'm sorting it out. The weirdest thing that came out for you. Yeah, here we go.
You ready? I don't know
Yeah.
if you can hear this. I'm just going to turn this down because it's going to blow my.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh,
That
you
do-
gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
I'm trying to see what that be like. Right there, look, be that.
I don't know if the
Yeah.
sound came through on that.
It came through
It
for
did.
me.
I think that what makes it is her very, very thick country accent
Yeah,
on that.
she's very,
you
very-
got to spit on that thing.
spin on that thing. So she's definitely from the southern states. But yeah,
I think she is from a certain state that begins with A.
Yeah. And ends in A.
Yeah.
It does end in A, it's true. I had to kind of think.
Okay. A state that starts and ends in
Was
A.
that 2024?
Yes. I had to look it up because I wasn't sure if it was 2024. I thought this will be my thing, and then I thought, was it 2024? Yeah, it was.
I thought that might have been late 2023, but no, fair enough. I suppose that is the big sensation at the moment, is doing those what they call street side interviews.
Yeah.
Seems to be a really big thing in America, and I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse. If somebody came up to me with a mic, I'd be like, you can write off.
And then that becomes a
Then
meme.
you'd be a
that
meme. And then
reaction
you'd be a
becomes
meme.
Yeah.
You can fuck right off. There you go.
Make that
there
into
you
a meme
go.
coin.
Yeah, meme me up, boy. But you have to like do a whole big face on it too, you know, sort of add a bit of like to it, and then you'll be a meme.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, obviously, she then. What was interesting is she's had a massive fall from grace, because that
Yeah.
video came out, and obviously she went viral, you know, and there were people making like Hawk Tour T-shirts and stuff like that, right? It's amusing, right? But then she decided, she played off her, and she said it's going to be 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
So she did a load of charity stuff, and then she made a podcast and things like that, and probably made quite a bit of money, right? Because that's the way that viral sensations go. But then,
talk to her.
yeah, it was called Talk to Her, right? And some of the topics that they did were very stereotypical.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's probably that version of what I call beyond. It's what I call shit feminism, where they sort of go into male bashing some of the guests that she had on. But you know, sometimes it was a mixture. But then she released this like Bitcoin meme coin, and then what they do is they call it a. This is going to sound really weird considering it's the Hawk Tour. They pump and dump.
Yeah.
What they do is they massively, basically everyone buys it so that
Price goes up.
the price goes massive, and then the person that creates it sells it. Everyone sees that they've sold it, and then everyone else dumps the coin. So then the price sort of does this, and then it does that. But because the owner sort of sells at the peak, they make huge amounts of money. So they have loads of investment. They dump all of it, so everyone buys it, and then everyone suddenly notices, and it just goes like that. The price drops, so loads of people lose their money.
So if anyone's looking for Hayley Walsh, I'm pretty sure that she is not in Skegness. Probably more likely to be in the Bahamas.
Probably.
Skegness, though.
Oh.
Oh dear.
See either of you? Anything weird come out of 2024 for you?
Go on, Jerry, because I've got a list.
You got
You've
a
got a
list.
list. Well, let's start at the top of your
Hey,
list.
go on.
I've got a list.
You go.
We won't do the whole list. I mean, people are people are now in their favourite armchair with a glass of bourbon. They've got their feet up, and they're just suddenly gone.
Yeah. This is the problem, right? I overboard this podcast, and I realised if you ever look at any of the documents that I've developed, we only do about half of the content
that's
on
true.
the podcast.
Yeah. This is gonna. This
But I
recording.
enjoy the podcast.
The recording is going to take 5.5 hours.
It is, and
but
I've
you'll
got a
only hear
hard
about
stop
an
at
hour.
one. I'm not even joking.
Is
So
that
I've got
what
to
you-
take the
Is
turd
it-
sandwich and the giant douche out for a walk.
for a walk
In this weather?
Yeah, no, I've got to take my three out for a walk because they haven't been out for a couple of days, and Leia is going absolutely mental. She is. It's like her head's about to explode. So go on, Dom.
I need. So if we stick to America, the only one I think
Don't
I
have
got
to.
from America was Donald Trump going, "They're eating the dogs."
The dogs and cats in
cats.
Springfield. And that wasn't even the weirdest thing he said.
No. I mean, we've had a pretty rough introduction, shall we say, to Donald Trump's inauguration.
It'll only be for 4
Frickin-
years. It'll only be for
frickin'
4 years.
Elon
And 4
Musk.
days. 4 days in, they're amending the Constitution so he doesn't have to get voted out. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Elon Musk doing a Nazi salute. Well done. Excellent.
That was inevitable. It's when the ketamine kicks in, you know,
Right.
when the ketamine kicks in, and you basically have no idea where you are or what you're doing. And the last thing you watched was your kind of home videos, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I must remember to do that tomorrow." It's great. Yeah, Dad did that years ago. You know, in front of the Emerald Mine. Keep people positive.
No, just oh my Christ alive! I cannot believe the utter shit show that we're about to get with America.
Oh, come on! There's a part of you that just wants the biggest bag of popcorn.
I mean, yes, I do already, but also anybody that's voted for Trump, you've just entirely lost their.
Oh, it's going to
the
get so
confidence
much
in
more
them.
fun. It's going to get so much more fun. It's going to just
It's
be
been what, like
hilarious.
4 days? I think, or something stupid like that. When was his inauguration, or was it a couple of
No,
weeks
it's
ago?
only
now?
on Monday. isn't
So it was like 5 days ago. 25th. Yeah, 6 days ago.
Jesus
it? I'm
Christ.
dreading it. Honestly, I'm dreading it.
What I wrote down, it's interesting because he said that about Springfield, and I wondered if that was like some conspiracy subtle dig at The Simpsons
Because
that
they
always seems to
predicted,
predict things
yeah.
getting.
Oh.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Yeah.
Going to the conspiracy
now,
theories.
now we are. Full on into it.
This is Jerry's
Yeah, I
favourite
love
type
it.
of thing.
Jerry likes conspiracy theories. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's absolutely convinced that there are clangers.
There are.
And one snuck aboard Apollo 11 when it came back, and there's now a clanger colony somewhere in America at Area 51.
I love the clangers with their little woolly hats.
I'm going to impress you. I know
Yeah,
what the
there you
clangers
go.
are.
Who doesn't
Oh.
love the clangers?
Little woolly hats.
Even though I bet you that came out in like. No,
That was 70s.
Yeah, right. 70s.
Yeah, clangers was early 70s. I think.
You were watching reruns, Dom. You were 100% watching reruns.
I mean, you can watch them now. They're on the iPlayer.
Yeah.
First episode date. Go on, have a prediction.
1971.
72.
Did you say
71.
72,
Yeah.
71. 16th of November, 1969.
Outrageous. Where I lived, we didn't have TV at that time.
Didn't have TV at that time.
No, we didn't. South
I
Africa
suspect that
only
they
South Africa
cost
only
£1
got
million.
TV. South Africa only got TV in 1975.
Oh, wow.
Lord. Bloody hell.
There was no broadcaster. I mean, TVs existed, but there was no broadcaster. And then when they first started broadcasting, it started at, I think it started at like 6 in the morning and ended at 9 o'clock at night.
That's
Something like
mad.
that.
That is mad.
Yeah.
That is just mad.
I can. And what's ironic is I reckon people barely watch television these days.
Yeah, nobody watches
It's
it.
all
streaming.
streaming services and stuff like that. Although that's going to eventually collapse because we're now. It's a interesting cycle, isn't it? It's like limited number of channels gets really, really popular. More channels evolve, more channels, and then people go, "Oh, hang on, I'm going to pirate everything because I don't know because I can't afford to watch all these cable or satellite TV." And then we all switch to streaming and become really popular, right? And then suddenly everyone's gone, "Hang on a minute, there are too many. I can't afford them. Back to pirating."
I've subscribed to 77 channels now. I haven't. I mean, it's ridiculous how easy it is to and it's like, oh, it's only £3 a month. Okay. But yeah, I think, if there's anything positive that comes out of it is everyone cancels their subscriptions and starts reading again. That would be nice. Pick up a book. Make the world a better place. Anyway, that's enough of my ranting.
What else
What
do I
else?
have? So if we then go to like the UK, obviously this year we had the general election.
Oh
which was
my God.
Which I'm not going to go too much into.
Please don't.
Although we did get a great pic of Sunak announcing the general election was when he was
In the
stood
pouring
out
rain.
in the
In
pouring
the
rain,
pouring
and he
rain.
just got more and more wet without an umbrella.
If there was ever a metaphor for the Tory party, that was it.
Yeah,
That was
That and the
perfect
lettuce.
metaphor. Well, yeah, right. I don't want to even just but yeah, if there was a metaphor for the Tory party at the time, it was Sunak standing out in the rain, looking like somebody had kicked him in the nuts, announcing that he was going to have a general election.
election.
That was my favourite thing of the year.
I learned when I was looking at that. I did not know this, but he is the richest prime minister that's ever been.
Yeah,
Thanks to his wife.
Did not know that.
he's thanks to his
And
wife.
her
He's not struggling for cash.
But he's not self-made.
No, he's definitely not. Anyway, so
To
what
marry
else?
into that.
What else? What else?
The Willy Wonka's chocolate experience in Glasgow.
Oh, yeah.
The what?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You got to explain this one, Jerry.
No, go on. You go for it.
Jerry, is this yours?
No.
Come on, Jerry, you need one.
No. Yeah,
You
don't
need
worry.
one.
I've got one.
Okay.
So basically, they created a Willy Wonka's chocolate experience in Glasgow.
Yep.
And it was like 35 35 quid to get in,
Yep.
and it was the biggest flop ever known to man. It came up with so many memes. It was just to the point that people were calling the police, and the police advised them to shut it down before they got more complaints, because it was
Nice.
just so inadequate
Worst.
for what it was.
literally the
You
worst.
kind of have to imagine that everything inside was deep fried for a start.
battered and then deep fried. I will have
Battered and then deep fried. Yeah. Is this a Wonka bar? Aye, but you've got to deep fry it.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know it's bad when the released was an unlicensed event that took place in Glasgow, Scotland in February.
Unlicensed. Well, that's even better. Both my favourite.
Right, and you know it's bad when the promotional website with a dreamlike AI-generated image.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
Dom.
I just want to stress this AI does not generate images.
That's a shame.
No, it's not.
Oh, I wanted to get some like images because some of the
That was hilarious.
images are great. Oh, here it is. It's this one. This is the one.
Okay, so for those of you who are listening on the podcast, we're waiting for Dom to load an image. That looks insane. So just to try and describe it, there is an AI generated image of a.
No, it's not. This is not AI. This is an actual
Is that
photo.
real?
Look how
No
disappointed
way.
she looks.
What
So it's
the hell?
It's a lady that looks
Is
like
she
she does regularly crack cocaine. I don't think she does. I think
No,
she's come out and
She
explained
doesn't
it.
look
But
that bad. She just looks like she's so bored.
she's
that
so
she's
depressed.
So depressed and so bored and questioning every life decision that she's ever made, ever, standing behind a series of laboratory equipment with tubes and whatnot. And then if you go a little further to the left, the interesting thing for me is the bottle brush that is just randomly poking up for no reason. I mean, that one lab thing that you have, the bottle brush, that bottle brush looks like it's been used for things other than cleaning bottles. I just want to say someone's done a rectal exam with that bottle brush.
So this was a backdrop, which was like an AI generated
Nice.
backdrop. So it's
Nice.
like it's got mountains, pink clouds, blue sky, and then sweets and stuff buried into the ground.
Yeah.
But it's been put on what's best described as a bed sheet
Yes, it's bed sheet, and
That
on the
hasn't been
left,
ironed.
someone looks like they've. Yeah,
that hasn't been ironed yet.
yeah. So on the left-hand side, someone's done Tim Burton's impersonation of a phallic dream. Keep going. This is fantastic.
Oh, I don't think there's any more photos, but yeah,
Right.
there's
Well,
some of the
okay,
images
so,
from
35 quid for
Look-
tickets. 35 quid.
£35 to see a bed sheet with a picture on,
God.
and a young lady who looks like she is about to kill herself with a bottle brush. By inserting the bottle brush into her ear and pushing it until it comes out the other side. And it looks like, given the state of that bottle brush, it looks like she's actually tried to fall.
Oh dear.
Come on, Jerry, what's yours?
So I didn't want it to be serious, but it is a serious thing.
No,
It's
That's
the-
all right. it's the weirdest
It is the
thing.
weirdest.
I can bring the humour back
Well,
afterwards.
I mean,
We'll make it funny.
genuinely, the weirdest thing for me was Trump being voted back in.
Oh yeah, so
No, like
I mean,
literally,
that was
literally
I
could
called
not
it.
get my head around
I
that.
called it.
Well, a lot of
I
people
called
did.
it. I called it. There is no place in American politics for a woman, for a start, and for a black woman in second place. I mean, basically, unless you are a rich white man in America at the moment, you're pretty screwed, really.
yeah.
So there was no way anyone was going to go for that. But I agree with you. I think that people who voted against their self-interest, and we saw it in 2016, people voted against their self-interest. It's becoming the norm at the moment, unfortunately. And I think that you get to a position where eventually people, the stupid, are going to take over, and the rest of us are going to have to sort of go and live on an island and just sit there and go whatever.
It was, for me, it was the most.
it's,
It was strange and it was surreal. And like I say, I didn't want to get
Come on.
all serious with this. But you're saying about the strangest thing. I find the strangest
strangest thing,
thing
yeah.
is that you've got somebody who was found guilty on more than 30 charges. He was indicted. He went to court. He was all of this
He is a convicted
He's a convicted felon,
and he is now the
and
president.
he's now the president of the United States.
But you know what the good thing about that is, though, is that you could apply for a job in America now, and they say, "Do you have a criminal record?" And you go, "Yes," but so does the president.
Does
It's
he have
not
a
a-
criminal? Question now.
No, he does.
Does he have a criminal record,
Yeah,
or
of course
did
he
he
does.
did he pardon himself, which removes the criminal record?
He can't. I don't think he pardoned himself. Basically, what they said was he was actually sentenced, but they said that they didn't sentence him to anything, just that he got sentenced, and it was yeah, you know, it would be. I would imagine. Who knows? It's America, right? It's the land of the free and the home of the stupid, and whatever, man.
It's the land. It's the land where you can't vote. So if you're in prison, you can't vote. You lose your right to vote.
Yeah.
However, you can campaign as a presidential.
Yeah, to be a president, which is, you know, that's fine. It's what they want.
It's just mental, isn't it? Right? You just think, what?
So I have a very strict rule, and I'm advising anyone who wants to maintain any kind of sanity to adopt, which is, if it is not in your sphere of influence to control, just don't worry about it. I mean, just I get people getting wound up about stuff that they've got literally no control over, and you think to yourself, you know, if that's what's winding you up, then great, don't be wound up. I'm just gonna sit back here and have a glass of bourbon and listen to my favorite podcast. Maybe I'll make a big bowl of mash, some mash juice in.
I'm
Call
jumping
out to
ahead a
our
little
sponsor.
bit. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But
Can you
what's
imagine if we actually had
interesting?
an actual sponsor? That'd be great. I mean, I just want to point out that if you were considering sponsoring the Distinct and Jovial podcast, any one of the 100 listeners that listens to us, or you know somebody who would like I don't want to use the word limited, but an amount of exposure to your product that is potentially, restricted to Dorset and Hampshire, then by all means give us a shout, and we'll do a
And London.
And
London.
And York.
London and York. We will definitely get your product out there. We'll have people talking about it.
I want the Royal Mail to sponsor us.
I absolutely fucking don't, right? Because
I really
I want
do.
Royal Mail.
I will have a rule, right?
I want
As-
Royal
as-
Mail and every to sponsor
If
us.
we got to the stage that we had sponsors, we would only get sponsors that I actually believe in. So I will never, and I quote, I will never become a sellout person that will have something like Raid Shadow Legends or BetterHelp or anything along those lines that are actually just terribly corrupt and awful companies.
Yes, they
that,
are.
That manipulate YouTube.
What's that other
What
thing?
was-
Air Up. Air Up is my favourite one.
Oh yeah, what was the one that got a load of controversy the other because it found out it was fake.
That one. What, Mash Juice?
No,
That's not fake.
there was legitimately a. Oh God, I'm gonna have to find it. YouTube.
Hoops is currently producing big batches of
Hoops
it
is
ready for
currently-
distribution to.
Hoops is currently researching how you can make your mash more moist. And he's probably coming back with a bunch of images of Google that he probably doesn't want to see right now.
What was the one?
He's sitting there going, how do I make mash juice? Do we have enough butter in the kitchen?
Oh, it was honey. That was it. It was the honey. It was the voucher system that of extension for Chrome called Honey, which is supposed to pull together, like when you go and visit a website, it will go, oh look, we found this voucher on the internet, and do bits and pieces like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was found that it was actually making things cost more for people, and it was a bit of a scam.
No.
Yeah.
Wait,
Exactly.
Sorry. I needed more of a run up at that. Hang on, wait. No.
Steve's improv coming right in and
Improv.
clutching that one.
Whoa. Proper improv. No. Yeah, no. Come on. It's yeah.
It's interesting. I'm going to jump ahead. I'll jump back as well. But in my 2025 items, I did write, is this going to be the year where people give less of a fuck about things?
Yes.
Where
So-
they're just like, just don't care anymore.
My advice to people is when they say, "Oh, I'm so it's making me upset," is that you have a limited number of fucks to give, and you really need to sort of consider that you have
Look at all these chickens.
you have a fuck wallet, right? And in your fuck wallet is a certain number of fucks, and it's very important that you spend them wisely on things that you should really care about. Everything else outside of your control, don't worry about it. It's going to happen anyway. If you beat yourself up and, pull at your beard and, go bald as a result of somebody else's inequity, idiocy, then it's, it's not really helping you. So just don't. Yeah.
So Jerry, I think it was a reasonably serious conversation, but I agree. Like, it's the weirdest thing to kind of go, I know what we're going to do.
Today there's no serious conversations. Sorry, that's what happened.
I know what we can do. We've made that mistake again. I want to make that mistake again just to be damn sure that it was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I think if there's one positive, and I think that if you look at something like my favorite pet subject, which is Brexit, and you can see how it's failed.
Yep.
I think that America needs to fail.
Fail.
It needs to fail, and it needs to fail very, very hard. And I think that, I think it could be on a, a bit like their, their sort of soul magnets, the Nazi Party, just sort of crushed Germany, and it was out of it for a long time. So yeah, I think it's fine.
It's fine.
What could possibly? It is. I mean, what can I do? What can I do? I can deal with the consequences that affect me, and that's about it. And I can't tell Americans to not vote for a complete clown.
It's also, for me, it also highlights like the corruptness that's in with the powerfully rich white men, like them all going back on the diversity.
Yeah, straight away.
Like within hours. Within hours. Every right that an American citizen had, and this is them, right? Oh, we all got our rights, and we've got our this, and we've got our that. We're a free country. All of a sudden, like brush of a pen, gone. Bye. Immediately,
and you think to yourself, so do you still, so America's the greatest country in the world because we have rights? Nope. We're free? Nope. We have a currency that's not going to disintegrate? Nope.
This is like the opposite of what did the Romans ever do for us.
Yeah. So hey, what's America done for us?
Well,
it's going to flatline it. But anyway, that is what it is. I mean, my prediction, controversial prediction, is that by the end of the current presidency, in 4 years' time, the US dollar won't be the premier trading currency. I think the euro will have taken over.
That's a bold prediction. My last 2024 one. Reagan's Olympic breakdancing routine.
Oh my God.
That was the weirdest thing ever.
I have to put that up there as joint first.
Breaking Bad.
That was bizarre.
Breaking Bad. Oh, that was so bad. Oh. Bum, 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 hop, hop like a kangaroo. Like, what? The thing behind my head. Then we go like, on the floor. Yeah. No, that was so funny. That was funny. I remember watching on TV going, is this a piss take?
Yeah.
And like, I said, is this like what someone's done? Like, those sort of, what's those shows called where it's like a rip-off of another show? Did somebody like do a rip-off show of the Olympics and have someone like do this? And I thought, and then they were like 0 points. So, this is the real thing. What the actual fringe? No, sorry. I mean,
yeah, that was pretty bad. How would you ever live with yourself after doing that? I mean, can you imagine basically for the rest of her life, people are going to go, it's you, the crazy breakdancers in like every shop she walks into, or
Well, she took abuse. I mean, she took a ton of abuse.
Yeah, which I don't condone certain abuses, but like absolutely, it's there's a certain you screwed up here, right? You've got to deal with the consequences of your actions. I don't agree with abuse, but you've got to deal with the consequences of your actions, which is you got a 0 at the Olympics because you were pretty rubbish.
It's the fact that she's a doctor of cultural studies and movement or something, and I thought, right, so she's a doctor of cultural studies and movement. I didn't even know you could study at a university level a course called Cultural Studies and Movement. How did she become a doctor in that? And then you do a bit more digging and reading, and her husband is like involved in all of this somehow, and it turned out to be a massive scam because they kind of they sort of basically pushed out anybody who wasn't them to be part of the team.
Crazy.
It was so funny. It was
so bad. I don't think they're doing breakdancing again, are they? At the Olympics?
No, breakdancing is not again. It's not in
Thank
the Olympics again.
God for that. I don't even know where the next Olympics is. Does anyone know where the next
I
one
don't
is?
care either.
Where?
Don't give a shit either. No, me neither.
Oh, I quite like the Olympics. Although Jerry's fed up of swimming.
Oh,
Who is
so
who is
that was so. How long did the Olympics go on for? Was it 4 weeks?
Yeah, I wanted 7 days of breakdancing.
All I got was 4 weeks of swimming.
No,
Literally, is the
bad.
only thing.
Oh no, I do know where it is.
Where?
Now that I've
Take
seen
it
where it
now.
is.
You know where it is now. You see where it is.
No,
Is
it's going to be very interesting.
Is it in America
It's in America.
Oh,
It's in Los Angeles.
my
again?
God!
Done that before.
Oh,
That was it. 1980 something was the time. It was 84. I want to say. Maybe not. Don't know.
it
I
wasn't.
don't
Yeah,
know.
you're right. It was in the 80s.
It was in the 80s. There was the one that it was controversial for certain reasons, but I think the Soviet Union was banned or something, or didn't turn up for some reason.
Yeah, Reagan was in power,
And-
wasn't he, at the time?
Reagan was in power, and the Soviets boycotted it. And then Zola Budd, who was a South African runner, was allowed to run in it, but she couldn't run in it as a South African because South Africa was banned. So she ran under a British passport, barefoot, and then she tangled with America's darling sweetheart, Mary Decker, in the race that she was running in, tripped her up, and the two of them basically, Mary Decker fell over and had a little cry at the side of the track, and Zola Budd went on to finish, I think, third or something, or maybe a bit further down. But yeah, big controversy. I think the only other thing I remember from that was the way they lit the torch was with the guy with the flaming arrow. Thought that was quite good. How
The
old am
opening
I?
ceremonies are usually pretty good, aren't they?
They are pretty good.
I like the French one. I like the fact that they went.
Metal. It's only because they played a metal track. Yeah,
No,
it
it's
is.
not. I like all
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yeah, there you
that
go.
did contribute to it. That contributed to it, but it was the fact they used the city as a backdrop, and they didn't spend tons of cash on stadiums, and they didn't. I think it was great to just use what you've kind of got. The city seemed a bit kind of, responsible,
Metal.
and Gojira was.
Yeah, there you
great.
go. See?
Go to French metal
Yeah.
screamo band.
It was so good. Tell me you didn't love it.
Gojira
Tell me you
sounds
didn't
like
love it.
like one of those specialist drinks that you get in the supermarket, which are made up of like funny berries and things like spirulina and stuff like that. That you just
Next,
you just go, what the hell
yeah,
is this?
I
What is that? It's
just a
Gojira
shout out
drink.
to next. Shout out to next month's sponsor,
Gojira,
Gojira, which is made from
Gojira berries.
which is Gojira berries, and sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla.
And there's potential that we might have put some Roadrunner in there too.
Meep.
Meep beep. So so that's 2024. Wrap that up.
Burrito that one, shall we?
Let's before. I mean, there's potential for us to kind of get, a bit more like. But hey, it's distinct and jovial. So we're going to try a bit more of the jovial. But we've had a
you've
little
got-
laugh.
You've got to kind of just think of because I was looking at like the weird stuff that happened. Obviously, a lot of stuff happened in terms of like general election, presidential election, like all the super serious stuff. The Olympics was great, those types of things. But I was just looking for the things that made stuff meme worthy. I didn't realize that Hock Tour was. I didn't look for that one because I thought that was 2023. But
I did too, but I looked it up, so it's fine.
But it's then taking the silly bits out of the election, like Richie Sunak stand in the rain, or
Yeah.
Jacob Rees-Mogg losing to the Bean Man in the local election that he
so
was
funny,
in.
so funny, so funny.
Some of the stuff that Donald Trump did say, like they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
Dogs.
The banana duct taped the wall that we talked about with Hooper in the last podcast.
Yeah. They sold that for I don't know how you move it to your house though.
$6.2 million.
How do you move that to your house?
Well, no. Do you know what the guy who bought it did?
No. You eat the banana.
He ate the banana.
Hey! This is a 6.2 million banana.
Yeah, it was the person that founded a cryptocurrency, Jason someone, and he just ate banana.
Haley Welsh.
It all comes back to crypto.
Yeah, Haley Walsh was spending the money she made in a meme currency to eat a banana in the Tate. Interesting you mentioned Hooper, because I think that I love the piece that he was talking about, the paintings that he does, and I think that's really important. I mean, I sort of view people as like having a triangle of like mind at the top, body, and then spirit. And people always go, "Oh, my spirit is like a religion." Nothing to do with religion. Spirit is kind of the cultural relaxation kind of part that makes you whole, right? So I was wondering if there was one thing that you wanted to try in 2025 that was new and different to kind of feed your spiritual side. What would that be? And for me, I'll start, as always. I'll lead with this, give you guys a bit of time to think, because I'm shoveling the questions in.
They're coming in thick and fast.
They're coming in thick and fast. Well, we're an hour in. We're an hour in, and nothing's happening thick and fast. But
other than mash juice.
Today's
wait, no, it's an anti-thickening.
Anti-thickening. Yeah. I don't know. Hoops would have to. I mean, when I tried it, it just made it moist. So
mildly moist is that?
Yeah, mildly.
I don't like words. It's a horrible word.
I can't. I'm not allowed to use the word moist at home. Just winds my wife up so much for some reason. And so of course, what do I do? Moist. And she goes like, "Oh, it's raining today." I go, "It's nice and moist." But it's it's all fun. We love it a bit.
Reaction. I'm sure she didn't do that.
She might have. So much fun. I can't wait to hear about next week's sponsor. Next month's sponsor.
We're going to have to come up with a sponsor for each one. Actually, I wonder what Steph would sponsor.
So you kind of got to go with maybe Laughing Clown Bourbon. I love Laughing Clown Bourbon because it's the sponsor on Ricky Bobby's car in Talladega Nights.
I was thinking, why do I recognise that? Why do I recognise that? Yeah.
And we did a Monster of the Week session. For those of you who don't know, Monster of the Week is like a role-playing game, but it's a very easy one to kind of get into. It's a very simple one, and it's kind of follows the format of Monster of the Week, which would be like a serialized television show. So Monster of the Week, this week's Monster, and you basically play into the whole Monster of the Week thing. So because it's like that, I started it with sponsors. One of them was Mash Juice, actually, Hooper's Mash Juice. I started with that, but the other one I started was with Laughing Clown, and I use it as a way of getting rid of croup in babies. So at the end it was like, terms and conditions apply. Laughing Clown may not exist. Please don't give bourbon to children. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, Laughing Clown Bourbon next month.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I for 2025, I'd like to try to sculpt things with air drying clay. So I bought some air drying clay at the end of last year where it was on special, and I'm gonna try and sculpt some things and be creative and paint them afterwards and go from there.
Wow.
Jerry, I know that you've expressed a desire to model it up, and I think we did build a car together, and it was
that was an interesting journey.
It was a journey.
That was a journey. So I think I realised that actually kit modelling is probably not my forte. But
we'll talk about that in a minute.
But what I have got some acrylic paints, and I do want to. In fact, I got acrylic paints last year, and I wanted to do some painting. I was in the flat, and I didn't really get around to doing any. Life kind of got in the way. But this year, I definitely want to start doing some painting and see how shit I am at that as well.
Any sort of, well, this is the interesting thing. So people go, oh, I don't want to do like anything arty because I can't draw or I can't paint or I can't do anything. But it's not. Hobby is not a thing that you're instantly good at. You'll never just be instantly good at a hobby. And if you are instantly good at a hobby, then it's not a hobby. You just need
That's a good
to.
point.
It's something that you. It's not a hobby. You do a hobby to improve yourself and to make your, everything. If I build models, I try and make everyone better than the last one, or I try and get a new experience out of it. You don't just start a hobby and are great. I'm sure that if you discovered like Leonardo, no, maybe not Leonardo, he was probably quite good from the beginning. It's probably one of those annoying. It's probably one of those
DiCaprio?
annoying twats. It's probably one of those annoying twats at school. He's like, he goes, I'd like to kind of express myself with this drawing that I did, and everyone looks at that and goes, "You ass." Goes to art class, and he's like,
It's not actually. That's not actually. It's actually not true that he wasn't actually good. I don't know if it was Leonardo. I think I heard it about Da Vinci, but it might have been. But there was a couple of.
You're talking about Michelangelo now. Is Michelangelo?
I can't remember
the
now.
perfect circle.
yeah, I think you're talking about a different turtle.
For fuck's sake!
Leonardo Donatello.
But the point of having a hobby is that you improve at something. You give yourself some time to look in something, and you use the time to just build. For me it's like stepping out of the world and focusing on something and trying to do it as best I can, and then learning from that and go, we take an agile mindset. So yeah,
You're gonna have to bleep
at this
that
point
out.
I would like to at this point I would like to point out, because we missed this at the beginning, we missed this at the beginning, that the views and opinions shared on this podcast are ours entirely, ours alone, and in no way reflect anything or anyone else other than us.
Oh,
Thank
we
you.
didn't do the disclaimer.
That was
Yeah, but
I just did it now.
late.
You can take it out, put it back in at the beginning.
We're gonna
It's
have
fine.
To,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to just jump into it's too late.
No, that's
to
exactly what I was going to
apologise.
say.
That was. Who sings that?
One Republic,
Oh yes, of course.
and it's produced by Timbaland.
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
This is Justin Timberland.
No. Yes, it was.
Yes, it is Justin Timberland. Dom, one thing you'd like to try in 2025 that's new.
The artist thing, by the way, I'm trying to go on to that very quickly. The story I got told was an artist, one of the famous ones, and I can't remember which one, was doodling on a napkin and obviously produced something great. And the lady went, oh, he was about to throw the napkin away, and a lady came up, oh, can I have the napkin? Because it's got a great piece of artwork on it. And he went, yes, that'll be $3 million. And she was like, it took you like 20 seconds. And he's like, no, it took me 20 years. Because talking about the experience that he's obviously built up. So that was my story about the artist. I've got 3 things, I think, in 2025 that I want to accomplish. Less so about hobbies and stuff like that, because I've got a lot of creative stuff going on at the moment. I've got my own personal YouTube channel. Obviously, we've got the podcast. I'm about to start another podcast, which I'm about to plough like acres of time in. But the first thing that's probably going to take up an equally amount of time is I'm currently in the process of buying a house. Woohoo!
Yay.
That's fun! Yay! No, Jesus Christ! And what's interesting is a lot of the discussions are at the moment. I've not even got to the solicitor stage. I'm just trying to find a house that's within budget and meets all my requirements. Apparently impossible.
Have you tried a cardboard box in a lake?
Oh, I've thought about it.
In a septic tank and a tip?
As long as I drown quickly, it'll be fine.
In the gravel.
But then,
You can
but
eat a
from
handful of
that,
gravel in the morning.
yeah, that's
You're
true.
going very Monty Python with this.
Yeah. Had to.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Yeah. Yeah, Ford Auctionman, yeah.
One of the thing with that, the thing that I'm quite excited then to plough my creative talents in is to then build like a home. Now, that sounds very corny, but in the sense of, ooh, I finally have a house that will be mine, so I can put what carpets I want to put into it, I can put what equipment I want into it, I can paint it whatever colour I want, I can change.
You can shove as much Star Wars into it as you can possibly think.
I could do. I can't wait to get my Lego models and put
There
them in
you
museum
go.
exhibit type things and
Yeah.
have that in the middle of my living room as my coffee table.
Absolutely,
seen someone
absolutely.
do that. Yeah.
Because when
Oh yeah, I want to get like a because dusting Lego is
a nightmare.
like, honestly one of the
Why
worst
would
things
you?
known to man.
Yeah.
So I want to put it in, like, you know, like you go to a museum and it's got like, you know, the glass cases that you can kind of see, so they're almost like hermetically sealed. I want to put it in there and then display it, and then you only have to just dust the case. You don't
I
have
think
to
you and
dust
I must have seen the same
see-
thing. Somebody did build that coffee table, and they had built.
Yeah,
the,
and so
Yeah.
done it as a
Yeah.
coffee table, but they
I
did
think
it with
it's
the
Imperial Star Destroyer or one of the Star Destroyers. Yeah.
that's the one, the Imperial Star Destroyer. That. So
if you
that
if you do that though, I mean, I think the important thing is to do that early on, because then when you finally do get to bring the honeys back to the crib, then what you can find out is whether or not they're into that, and then we either go, oh my god, it's a Star Destroyer coffee table, or they go, what the fuck is that, and you can go, nice knowing you.
you are assuming a lot about my my dating
Just trying to help.
non-existent.
It's a service I provide.
The irony being is I actually the first set of house hunting that I did last weekend, a friend came down and I was commenting, oh yeah, I could turn this room into the gym and this, and by the end of the day she was going, you are not turning this room into a gym. The gym will be outside the house, because when you do start dating, we will find you somebody. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's your choice, but apparently I'm now being threatened and the bane of death by some of my friends. So apparently I've been single for too long.
No, you're single for as long as you need to be single. It's when it's
All my life.
yeah. There you go. There you go. It is what it is. It's
but
like that, and it's the way it is.
Yeah, well, it's the way it is. It is what it is. But in terms of additional hobbies that I want to that I'm going to pick up, and you can blame the Maldives, is going to be paddleboarding this year.
Cool.
I'm going to go paddleboarding.
The water is slightly cooler than in the Maldives.
That's why I'm not doing it at the moment, and it will be probably more around like the April onwards, and I'll be wearing a wetsuit rather than swimming shorts and a hat.
Nice. I did consider something like that because I've always thought that kite surfing might be fun. I just think that with my size and weight, I might need a very big kite, like a parasail. Like one of those ones that that they drop tanks with. So I'll have to see.
They do that actually at Milford. They do it up the road. It's amazing to watch. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
I prefer the paddleboarding, less adrenaline. I quite enjoyed that. So yeah, stand-up paddleboarding now definitely be something that'd be on my repertoire. And Steve, aren't you somebody that's jumped out of a plane?
Mm-hmm.
So be fine with a normal parachute. Be fine.
I was smaller then. And
the one other thing I did write down, in theory, this year is the year that GTA 6 comes out, which is a video game.
What do you mean in theory? I thought that was confirmed.
Well, the video games get delayed quite frequently. So GTA 5 came out in 2013.
No.
And it's still one of the most popular games. It's been across 3 generations of console, because it's been on the 360, the Xbox Series X, and whatever the new one's called, which I forget what it's called now.
2013.
Nice.
2013. That's my fun fact of the day.
Fun fact of the day.
I had no idea.
Like it. I think the last GTA game I played was the one that came after 3. Was that Vice City?
Yeah, Vice City.
That was the last one I
love
played.
Vice City. Still my favourite.
Vice City was
here we
great.
go again.
Oh, it was so good. Loved
I
it.
think that's a San Andreas, though. No, it's not Vice City.
I love
I
Vice
didn't say
City.
San Andreas.
So my favourite thing about Vice City was the fact that you could change radio stations, and they had
Yes.
the talk radio station as well.
Talk radio. Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that with Maurice Chavez? Was it Maurice Chavez?
Chavez. I mean, there have been other games that have had radio stations that you could tune into, like I think Mafia 2 and Mafia 3. They had radio stations, and the Mafia 3 one was great because they played actual songs from the 60s.
Oh, amazing.
And it's so cool. but it was all set in the deep south. So there was a radio station called something like Fortunate Son or something Son, but it was like this racist radio station. This is borderline. So yeah.
Basically, I love the whole 80s.
Always
all
fun.
the 80s music.
The
They had
80s music,
rock. They had
yeah.
new wave romantics.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
just.
I was pressing. Always used to push R until I got to the rock station. and then,
There's
like,
a surprise.
One of the radio stations on GTA 5 is called Non-Stop Pop, and they obviously play like really random. She has like really random quotes and normally really bad jokes. And what I didn't know is actually that it's voiced by Cara Delevingne. Did not know that.
Oh, from the model lady who did the evil witch in Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, which I think is underrated film, overrated film.
Well, Suicide
It
Squad.
was very much the Will Smith. It was very much the Will Smith Margot Robbie show. I felt like the other characters were kind of glossed over a bit. It just felt like the two of them doing their thing, and that was it. The story was alright. It was better than the second. Well, actually, I enjoyed the second one better with Idris Elba and that. I enjoyed that one a lot more. Now that was the one that got panned, but I enjoyed that one a lot more.
See, I don't remember anything about that story. Don't even remember that film. It was just a complete nothingness film for me. Honestly, you know when you watch something and then literally your brain erases it from your mind about 10 minutes
this was
afterwards,
so
and
shit.
people go, "Have you ever seen
This was
Suicide
shit.
Squad?" And you go, "Oh, do you know? I don't know. Don't know if I have."
Have
I'm
you
sure
ever-
you're
have you ever
watching it
walked out of
half
a
an hour ago. I don't know. Can't
Yeah.
remember.
Have you ever walked out of a cinema halfway through a film? Have you ever
Yes.
walked out
Yes,
of
I have.
You have.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was my experience of that was I went to go and see Transformers 2 with a friend. And we were watching it, and halfway through the film, he stood up and at the top of his voice shouted, "This is shit!" and walked out.
I think that's the best way to cope because it's quite cathartic and it's you know you get it out of your system. In subsequent years, so I walked out of
I think he woke everybody up.
probably. I fall asleep now. If I don't like the film, I'll just fall asleep. Just thinking I might as well catch up on sleep. It's an hour and a half, chairs comfy. If you go to Showcase Cinema in Southampton, the seats recline. It's really quite.
I haven't been to the
it's
cinema
quite
in
It's
over
a
3 years
it's
now.
mate. It's an expensive way to go and have a nap. You could just do it on your sofa and put something boring on.
Yeah, true. But then you also have to remember there was a whole period where I had to take my daughter and nieces and nephews and her friends to
So you took it
to cinema.
You took the door.
and
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there going, "What the actual hell is this?" And then I'd just fall asleep. Just say,
No, some of the films, some of the
Dora
films
the Explorer.
Well, you know, but if you're doing like Shrek and Finding Nemo and those
no,
types
those are
of
good
things
films.
actually very good.
they're
films.
brilliant
Those are actually
films.
good
I mean, there
films.
was Inside Out. That's a good film. No, there were some absolute crackers, but there's some other films where it's just like, what?
just like this
No
is
way.
diabolical.
So bad.
The film that I walked out is called Let's Be Cops.
Oh, that is
and
awful. It's so awful.
And it's got a 19 on Rotten Tomatoes.
What's the IMDb rating on that? I bet it's going
I
to be
didn't look
3
at the
point
IMDb.
something. I reckon,
Be like
or
2.
2. It's
Apparently it's a 6.4 out of 10.
on IMDb.
Get
What?
in the bin.
On IMDb, have they lost the plot?
Well,
That's
yeah,
terrible.
that's because you shouldn't do that. It's got a 30 on Metacritic. But I walked out because all of it is cringe comedy. And I don't like cringe comedy
Don't like cringe
anyway.
comedy.
And it made me so uncomfortable. Oh, hello, camera. You're going to make me... Thank you.
Yeah. Got so blurry.
I had to
that-
walk out. I had to
Wow.
walk out. And unfortunately, it was in the summer, so I went and sat in my car. And my friend stayed in there, so I went over the road to the... We were only going to the cinema, but I went and got some snacks and sat in the car and listened to an audiobook while I waited for the film
Much
to finish.
better idea.
Oh, good idea.
Couldn't do it.
Good
And
idea.
it's also the only film that I've then messaged... I've emailed the cinema and gone, I want a refund because it was so bad. Take it out of the profits from the film. And I got my refund.
Did you?
Yeah.
What?
You
Nice.
got your refund. You joking?
I got a refund. I said I had to walk out. It was so bad, and I was like, "It's for me. It's funny. There's a lot of complaints on the internet about people not, millennials are ruining this and millennials are ruining that, and I'm like, that's fine, but if you make shit content, we aren't going to buy it. So obviously, I'm a big video game player. So it's something like the new Dragon Age. Made a loss of something like 16 million, and everyone's going, oh, it's because people went, but it's because it was shit. Right? If it's a poor game, like the story's poor, I don't think it was actually that bad, but that was the one I did see. And yeah, it's just like,
I believe you got a refund.
if you make a poor stuff, but yeah, I got a refund from the cinema.
Yeah, if you that's the thing, isn't it? Which I think because of that as well, this is what we're going back to one of our favourite subjects, which is why movie studios and this are becoming more and more risk averse. They just don't want to take any chances, do they? But
also, people are now getting bored of doing the same
ironically, it's just like, oh, not this again. There's a formula that they seem to be using in a lot of films, and I've picked up on it now. There was one they were advertising on Amazon. So I've got Amazon Prime. So I was flicking through Amazon Prime movies, and there's some film that's just been released, and I thought, when you look at you just have to look at the way that it's being marketed. So you just have to look at the poster of it, and you already know exactly what the formula of that film's going to be, and you already know that it's like I'm not investing a minute of my time in this.
Yeah. It's interesting. So Henry Cavill actually spoke on this when with Ali Plum, who's the BBC movie correspondent, and Ali Plum asks for a series of books that people can watch, because this was about The Witcher, because obviously The Witcher's a series of books before it was a thing. So this was when Henry Cavill was leaving The Witcher, and he asks for some recommendations, and he gives a few, and he talks about the thing, and he talks about how Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, kind of invented the standard action-adventure book, right? And that's pretty true, right? It's it's your standard adventurer goes on adventure, loads of stuff impacts him, but he's eventually successful, walks home.
It's called.
And I'd say, kind of the next person that kind of changed that a little bit is probably George R.R. Martin, who writes Game of Thrones, where kind of there isn't really a protagonist on that one. It's kind of a bit different, and that's the reason why the television series failed in the last season, is because they went to the Tolkien kind of, we want a successful ending, and it didn't, right? There was too many loose ends, and they rushed it.
I always struggle to keep up with how many characters there are in those stories.
It's really difficult. But he did mention a couple of other writers, which I haven't read their books yet, but that some of them are starting to invent a few different things. And I think what annoys people most is when movie makers deviate too much from books if they're based on the books, right? They get too carte blanchy. Because it just confuses people. So Dune is a really good example of probably a successful one, where Dune 1 and Dune 2 are very, very accurate to the books. And some people sort of were disappointed by the second Dune and how it went. And I'm like, sorry, it's disappointing, but that's how the books are. The second Dune book is actually a bit shit. But it's accurate to the book, so I actually found it more enjoyable because of that. Similarly, the extended edition of Lord of the Rings is an embellished Lord of the Rings book, but it is pretty accurate to what happens in the book. The book is a bit more adventure, and the film's a bit more action. Yeah, that's true. But, and obviously you don't have Tolkien spending 4 pages describing what the mountain looks like in the film. So,
I mean, a movie is always, if you are making a movie of a book, you are going to make an interpretation of what you read the book to be. I mean, that's pretty much it, which is why when you get graphic novels, films that are very close to the graphic novels are very close to the graphic novels because they're effectively recreating a series of pictures.
Yeah.
And there's no kind of ambiguity.
It's similar why to things like Dragon Ball Z is very popular, is because it's very, very similar to the manga that is invented. And interestingly, that's one of the biggest fears that I have for the upcoming Harry Potter television show. Is because the director's come out and gone, we are going to deviate a bit. I'm like, you cannot deviate from those books. You can't. If anything, like there is a lot of filler in some of those books, but if you're producing a TV show, you could do some of that filler. And honestly, people would love it if you literally just used the book as the script and didn't deviate at all.
Guts.
Like people would love it.
Guts and stick to the. Stick to the story.
There are certain franchises that I think the lemon has been thoroughly squeezed, and
oh yes,
all you're getting out of them now is pith, taking the pith, and Harry Potter is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and obviously she's J.K. Rowling has got her stupid opinions that she needs to be put in the bin. And that does tarnish it a lot. Harry Potter is an interesting one because I don't think it's quite been long enough to recreate it. When their actors are in their 30s, who played the characters, so less than 15 years ago. I think it's too soon.
Yeah, but with the TV show, I think we were talking about this, Dom, weren't we? That if they were to be clever about it, they could do it in such a way that, and it would be quite groundbreaking, whereby. Because the books are obviously different lengths, aren't they? So,
yes.
So you could do maybe like a book and a half, for example, in one season, and then in the second season, like you just pick up again and.
No. The best way to do it would be to have varying length seasons and literally use the book as the script. Like if I was a creative director, that's the way that I would do it. And the reason being. And spoilers for the next podcast episode, but some of the quotes in the books are hands down genius, and those being portrayed with some and having listened to Stephen Fry read those books and the way that he delivers that stuff, you get people delivering it like Stephen Fry does as actors, which they should aspire to be anyway to a certain extent. It would be incredible, and you would. The new audience that would watch it would fall in love and want to go and pick up the books. And the old audience that are still around that read the books growing up as a childhood, i.e. myself,
would also love that.
Fall in love with it. Right? And sure, you might get the odd episode where the critics might be critical of it, and then you'd be like, yeah, but read the book. That's exactly what happens. And there's enough action in the book to keep things going. But also, you've got all the love triangles. You've got all the scenes that kind of come in. And I think it would be really good. It would be really good.
The teenage love triangles. So not actual love triangles.
No, yes, it's
not
true.
Not interesting love triangles.
No, but
where are you going with this?
there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of teenage angst in it. I can't stand the Sixth Book these days. It's worse.
Angst.
It's almost as bad as the Hunger Games.
My teenage years were appalling and very angsty, and I quite like to forget the fact that ever happened because experiencing teenage angst through the eyes of a book character. No, pass. So I don't know how long we've got left. I don't know how long we've got until you have to go and kick some dogs through a field.
Well, 1 o'clock. I have to.
Okay. Oh no, plenty of time. I've got a couple of segments left. So the next segment is one that's going to, I would hope, fill you with dread, because if anything's going to go wrong, it's this segment, and it's called Ask ChatGPT.
Oh, I've got some crackers.
So you get to ask, as you would say, ChatGPT. You get to ask the bearded...
Other AI models aren't available.
Other AI stuff is available. But you get to ask the bearded sentient AI a question, and you'll get the answer that you may or may not want. But you'll get the answer. You'll get an answer.
So my first question, Just to Jerry, just before we start, do you use ChatGPT or any of the others?
I've tried it about 4 or 5 months ago. I just tried it out, the free version. And I was like, okay, this is fine. And then that was it. But then I couldn't.
It was a bit mad.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. And it's like, okay, whatever.
I didn't know what to ask it. I couldn't find anything I didn't really know.
I tried to test it. Oh, very good. Very good. I tried testing it with something. I can't remember what it was. And it didn't give me the answers that I thought it was going to give me. And I thought, actually, I know more about this subject than you do. And I was like...
Well, I mean, it's when you realise it knows nothing, and all it's doing is going around the web and pulling stuff back and forgetting.
Yeah, but I was hoping in the process of it trawling through the web that it would come back with something where I thought, oh, that's something new. I didn't know, but it didn't. And I was like, okay, that was a very, very light answer. And so I then stopped using it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll confess, I have used it, right? And I've got the memory version, which is free, but it, remembers what I've done before and stuff like that when I've asked it. And I've actually got 5 different kind of chats in my ChatGPT, right? And some of the things.
Do you love me? Yes, I do. Are you sure?
Some of the things have been really useful, like
Can you prove it?
Yeah. Well, you don't ask questions like that, really, do you? You kind of want to do.
I'm so lonely. And
one of the things that I found I use it mainly for 2 things, right? If I've just waffled onto like a wiki page or some documentation that I'm producing, I'll just plop that into ChatGPT and I'll just be like, can you simplify and extract the important information from this? And it will do that very quickly.
Does
and
it
then
do it well?
Yeah, it does it reasonably well. Yeah, if I find if I ask ChatGPT to generate something for me, it's normally average to substandard.
Which is what I was doing, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas if I've got the information and I just want, and I'm like, put this in a nice format or simplify it or extend or whatever, and it will go, and it's pretty good at doing that. And then you can tweak it. So a lot of the stuff that I've done for like bits and pieces. The one thing it has been successful is I was trying to create a training plan because I might have been cycling a long distance. I'm not going to go into it too much in like July. So back in like November, I basically went, right, well, I need to cycle this amount of miles for a, or similar to like a marathon training, right? So I would say I'm going to run a marathon in July. Tell me the training plan, the number of runs that I should be doing per week, the additional exercises that I should be doing per week, and the mileage I should be running. Now, this is for a ride. It's for a 190-mile ride, right? But it was like, okay, so long story. The first week, you should ride 50 miles during that week. So you should do 1 ride of 15 miles and 2 rides of 10 miles, right? So which is 35 miles. It says 30 to 50 miles. And then it was like, and then it'd increment, right? So 35 to 55. So long ride this amount and this amount. Now I've noticed it's incrementing by 5 exactly each time. So evidently the timing works, that it could very easily divide it by 5 and increase it by 5 miles each time. And then it added notes. Long ride. This should be your longest ride of the week. Gradually building up to a maximum distance is essential for endurance. Mid-distance rides, short recovery ride. These are low-intensity rides that help you recover. And then it talked about like tapering. So then it like organised and did the tapering and stuff like that. And then I was like, cool, I don't know any routes. Tell me how I'm going to get some routes. Cool, here's some applications that will sort out some routes for you.
Wow. Really
and those
good.
Bits and pieces. So it can do some good stuff. So,
I'd just like to point out that if you use ChatGPT, you're probably going to get a better answer. Probably going to get a better answer to the question of, I'm thinking about riding 190 miles. How should I prepare? And it'll be like, sit on the sofa with a beer and think, and then maybe watch some people riding a bicycle, and then have a long think about why you're doing this shit, and then have another beer.
And then do like like we all did back in the 80s, where you just go, you basically, it's booze up, nose up,
knees up,
knees up,
everything's up,
smoke, put your fag out, jump on the bike, and go full
Jump on the
ham.
bike.
Fuck it, let's do this.
Yep.
And you just psych yourself up and go,
balls to the wall.
let's
Ball,
do this.
yeah.
Let's fucking do this.
Balls
Yeah.
to the wall.
And then,
No training.
Full Leroy
and then
Jenkins.
exactly,
Full
Leroy
Leroy.
Jenkins. And then you get to the end of that 190 miles, you're like, fuck that, I'm never doing that again.
You're only going to
Jesus.
get to the end of the 190 miles if you've done 180 of them in the back of an ambulance.
But you see, the thing is, look, we're joking about that, right? But if you take somebody like James Hunt, the racing driver, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what he would
Don,
do.
you know
James
about
Hunt.
him, okay?
Yeah, I
In his
do.
day and age, he was out, he was at strip clubs, booze up, he used to smoke a cigarette, he used to have a pint. I think, didn't he used to drink before a race? He used to...
No.
No, I'm sure he...
Not in Formula One. I don't think he did that in Formula One. I think in
I
like,
think
the
he did
lower
lower
categories, he
categories, but
might have.
still, it's like lower categories, for God's sakes. It's still fast
Yeah.
cars. And then he'd like be putting his cigarette out, jumping in the car, and it's like, off you go.
Yeah. And he died. And he died when he was 45. So maybe not an aspiration.
Did he? I thought he lived.
he
No,
lived.
James Hunt died.
He was
45?
No, he was 45.
Well, you know what? The candle
I'm pretty sure it was
Oh, yeah, he was.
45.
Yeah,
burnt the
45,
candle at both
1993.
ends.
He burnt the
burnt
candle
bright.
at the
He
both
burnt
ends,
bright.
and in the, yeah, he melted the candle and set fire to the kitchen.
Excellent. Let's have a look at
45. I'm 55
I had
this
a
year.
heart
I'm 10 years older than he was when he died. He looked like he was in his 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked old. He was an old
but he'd
45.
lived more life than I think.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Dom. Thank
Yeah.
you. My point exactly. Right?
What is? Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, exactly right. So, ask ChatGPT. This is the part of the episode where it can all go horribly wrong and where you
We
might have to do
can.
some
It will
editing.
go horribly wrong.
Fine.
to anything.
It'll be fine. I will control myself. I've set the filter to socially acceptable.
Nice.
So
Please increase the sarcasm level to 2%.
yes.
Oh God, what's that?
Well,
what's the name of
that was
robot?
Interstellar.
How?
And
How?
also...
How?
That's it.
No, that's from.
No, also from
Yeah.
Star Wars. It was in Rogue One, if you remember. Wasn't it?
Yes. I loved that big robot.
He
He
was
great.
amazing. I loved that whole film. Watched it again. the
It was
other day.
good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rogue One. Big fan of Rogue One.
Tars.
Anyway,
Tars.
Cars. What about Cars?
Tars. T-A-R-S. That was the.
We did that scene in one of the
We did.
improvs.
Yeah, I remember now. We did. You're absolutely right. I'm just gutted that in the time that we were doing that quiz, that they didn't release the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. But we could have done a scene from that film. It's a real shame.
That is a shame.
Oh,
I've not seen that.
fantastic.
Sorry,
Fantastic. It's a good film.
It's an
I loved
amazing
it.
film.
It got so panned. I mean, it got so panned, but
It
I
got
just was like,
panned.
this
Are
is
you
the greatest
serious?
film. Yeah.
Based
yeah.
on what?
There was like, there was some reviews of people who were just like, this is a load of crap. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
I'm not having
Anyway,
that. I'm not having
68 and 6.8.
that. Oh, come on. That makes me angry
Yeah.
now. I'm angry.
Meta.
In fact, I'm not even angry. I'm just disappointed.
I'm just
Not even angry
disappointed.
anymore. Gone past that
I am
point.
mildly
I've gone past that
disappointed.
point.
I
55.
don't
I'm
care.
disappointed.
Ja, ich habe keine Lust.
Well, the first question that I was going to ask ChatGPT. How many R's are in the word strawberry?
STR1 AWBERI 3.
How many does ChatGPT think there are in strawberry?
2 1
Two.
2 2.
Two.
Yeah, there's 3 R's in strawberry. I had to count them though. So this is the service you get when you use the bearded sentient search engine. Is you have to see the homework happening in the
I
background.
love the processing power.
It's like, please show your
Processing
workings.
speed of that as well. Yeah, STR. Oh,
Dude, I
that's
had-
one.
yeah.
That's one.
There's one.
A. It's like I've discovered one. One. A.
Wait, I've got
W.
one. Let me write this. Yeah,
B.
but it almost got to the point. It was almost to the point where let me write this down. So that,
Yeah. That's what I was expecting.
right, I got one. I can keep track of them somehow.
Oh dear. How many R's are in the word strawberry? What I've prepared here. Oh no, it's they've corrected it.
Oh, have they? Oh, boo.
Right, what's the next question? Boo, you suck.
Go on,
Oh, is
Jerry,
it
your
my
turn.
turn? Okay.
I've got several.
If a car is travelling at the speed of light and it switches its lights on, what will happen?
The lights will come on.
Fantastic! Thank you, ChatGPT. You really enriched my life with that
There
answer.
you go. Are you asking, would you be able to see the light in front of the car? I don't know. I'd have to ask Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he might have a long, complicated answer. But the question I would ask back is, why would you want to know?
Because space is quite dark. You need to see where you're going. When
You
you're
can't travel at the speed of light.
Well, allegedly. Actually, no, you can't.
See,
Because
you
mass
can't.
becomes infinite.
It's-
I did learn something
It becomes
in
infinite,
physics.
yes. Did you? I went to go and see Professor Brian Cox at the Pavilion, and you know when people talk and they use English words that you understand, and they create sentences with those words that you understand, but have no idea what the hell they're saying.
Yeah,
It was like
nice.
that.
Nice.
Do you want the response from ChatGPT?
Yeah, go on.
This is a classic thought experiment in physics, and it gets to the heart of Einstein's theory of relativity. If a car could travel at the speed of light, which is impossible for anything with maths, the question about what happens when it turns on its headlights hinges on the principle of how light behaves. Here's what Einstein theory suggests. Speed of light is constant. The speed of light is always the same for all observers regardless of their motion. So if you're in the car travelling at the speed of light and turn on the headlights, the light from those headlights will still travel away from you at the speed of light. What an outside observer sees. To an outside observer, not in the car, things get tricky. The car is at the speed of light. This situation violates the laws of physics because objects of mass cannot reach the speed of light in the first place. For anything close to the speed of light, the light would still propagate forward from the car at the speed of light relative to the observer. From the driver's perspective, if you were somehow inside this hypothetical car, you'd see the light from the headlights behaving normally because the laws of physics, including the behaviour of light, are the same in all frames of reference.
Stop.
So basically,
My answer was far less boring and more relevant.
But can I just say that genuinely, there are aspects of that answer is quite interesting because I did not
There
know
were
that.
aspects of the
I
answer
did
were
not
quite
know
that is, by the way,
interesting.
that quite interesting. QI, that is my new addiction at the moment to watch
good.
on the iPlayer.
It is good. Right, what else?
Steve's like, suck it to me. Come on.
How many licks does it take to get to the centre of a lollipop?
Which lollipop?
Just asked.
Average,
Is it a double-
size. A cheap
Okay,
and
so-
Average size lollipop.
So I find people that lick lollies disturbing. By virtue of the fact that most people put them in their mouths and just suck them and let the saliva dissolve it, or if you're even more like most people, you just crunch them. So how many licks would it take? Yeah, yeah.
I don't crunch them.
Don't you?
No, what?
But you don't lick them.
No, you
No.
don't lick a lollipop.
No,
you suck a lollipop.
exactly. You suck a lollipop. You stick it in, and again, if it's full of sherbet, then the sherbet inevitably leaks out after about a second, and then it goes up your nose. How many licks? None, because people shouldn't be licking lollipops.
Oh, interesting. Human testing average was between 500 and 800 according to
But can I just
There you
say,
go.
ChatGPT's answer, which is the proper ChatGPT answer, is a classic ChatGPT answer. So if somebody was
There
saying,
you
I
go.
don't understand the concept of ChatGPT, you ask that question. How many licks
I think
does
we're
it
trying to
take
prove the point.
to get to the centre of what was it, to complete the lollipop?
A lolly.
Well, the ChatGPT answer is, you shouldn't even be doing that, you idiot.
Yeah, why are
There
you
go.
doing that?
So that's classic.
I did not say you
Well,
idiot.
no, you
I
didn't.
just said
I'm
that-
embellishing. I'm using
I just
artistic
hint-
license.
I just hinted that you might be psychotic if you did that.
Well, there you go. And this is again a continuation of a classic ChatGPT answer.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. What else you got?
Okay.
I've got a list.
There were
Jerry, but
so
I'm gonna
many
alternate.
questions I had written down. I thought I can't actually ask that. I definitely can't ask
Come
that.
on.
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
No,
Feel
'cause
the
there were
fear.
two-
Feel the
okay.
fear. Feel the fear.
I want to do some actual editing this time, Jerry, rather than just stick it all
Okay,
together.
well,
Feel the
Stick it
fear
on nothing.
and feel the fear and do it
Fine.
anyway.
ChatGPT, what is a Portuguese snowblower?
We discussed this at
We
New
did.
Year's, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, but I think does it involve cocaine and sneezing or something, or does it involve
Oh my God.
fluids from?
I literally almost
I can't
choked on
remember
my
what it
water.
was. There's something about I can't remember. I think it might have been something to do with
It does involve cocaine. And not
cocaine.
sneezing.
Yeah. But it's,
Say hello to my little friend.
Oh, is it farting?
It is.
Farting? Yes, that was it. There was always a method of propulsion involved, and this time it was the passing of wind. So I'm guessing what you have is a cupful or a brick of cocaine, and you basically eat yourself sick with all sorts of beans and whatnot, and then you basically can have a collection of people standing behind it, and then and then you just have to make sure that it stops at the wind.
That was one of my less controversial ones.
You don't have the sharting. Go on, next one.
You're right.
This is fun. This is fun.
ChatGPT is quite disappointing. Isn't a common term or recognised piece of equipment, but it could be a humorous or regional phrase used colloquially in specific contexts.
There you go.
I love the way it's so
least you got-
non-specific.
Apparently,
You got
the
the
Urban
answer.
Dictionary is not a source for
Clearly it isn't,
ChatGPT.
no.
At least you didn't ask me what a Mississippi bird bath was.
I don't want to know.
Over-
Why did the broom arrive late?
I don't know, because you ordered it and the Royal Mail was required to deliver it.
No, it wouldn't have arrived.
Oh, sorry, every, and you had to go and fetch it from somebody else's house. You had to go and fetch it from somebody else's house.
Oh, I can tell you the answer because it overswept.
Oh my God, not dad
What
jokes.
the hell?
Oh, dad jokes.
Jeez,
Oh
Louise.
man. Oh man. Why does vampires get? When do vampires get after drinking too much blood? It's a hangover. So please, yeah. I went to a dog. I went to a zoo. All they had was a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Very good. Very good. Right.
Right. What else you got?
Well, let's.
Oh, your reactions to my joke, that was great.
So, overly complicated coffees.
Oh yeah. I love overly complicated coffees.
You do? I was just going to ask you your thoughts on it.
They're a work of art. So I got a coffee maker for Christmas, which is one of those ones that you put the thing in and you stick it in and you turn it on and you blah 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 blah, and it's got a frothy thing and all the rest of it. And it's one of my treats in the morning is that I'll have like a double espresso latte that I make myself, and then I might put a bit of vanilla essence into it or something like that just to give it a bit of bite. But yeah, no, I'm a fan. I don't know how to make a macchiato or anything. I'm kind of limited to my understanding of coffees, but yeah, I do like a really nice coffee. I know you just like freeze dry everything, and
So
it's like
that backfired on me.
the most
because
instant of
I was
instant.
not expecting that because I was expecting a rant about just coffee's just coffee, just keep it simple and just
No.
Okay, right.
Ironically, or just coincidentally, I suppose is probably the term. There's a YouTube channel I watch called All the Gear, which is they're ex car throttle presenters, but they now go on like adventures and do different things. So they've been to Iceland, they did a tour around America, they do other things. And their most recent video, which came out 3 days ago, is can we find the most expensive coffee? How much do you think and they did this in the UK. How much do you think the most expensive
UK.
coffee
Is this
was
the one that's passed
in the
through
UK?
a cat?
That
It
does exist,
and
yes.
that is. I thought that was the world's most expensive coffee.
My
It is.
dogs
Do you know
eat
how
cat
much
shit.
it is?
Drink
do.
coffee that's out of a litter tray. Nice.
No,
What, but
no, pass.
per 100 grams. What's the
Well, for a
just
cup
for
of coffee.
£30.
I'm going to go 50.
Add a 0 onto the first one. It's £265
For a cup of
pounds
coffee.
For a cup of coffee.
for a cup of coffee.
What
Why?
the hell? What? Okay.
Why? Why is this? I don't know. Okay. Is it made from goat shit? All right. I mean, I still wouldn't pay £260 for a cup of goat shit coffee, but there you are. No, it's interesting because you know,
Where did you get goat from? It's
there
cat.
was
Goat.
It's a
Oh,
cat.
cat.
Sorry, cat shit. There was a time when I thought that coffee was coffee, but I bought a series of. If you go to supermarkets and you buy the coffee beans that they have, like the roasted ones they have, they're generally just the same. And I got some really nice espresso coffee beans, and I tasted them against other espresso coffee beans that you buy from a supermarket. And the flavor was so good, so different, really caramelly. You could actually taste. You know, people go, oh, you get a bottle of wine and you taste it and you go, can you taste the berries?
Tastes like
You
a bottle
go,
of wine.
Yeah, it tastes like disappointment. I think what you then find is you could actually taste like the caramel and the other flavors and the other notes. And
Where
it was
did
really,
you get
really
that
nice.
from then?
So, the internet,
The internet.
I think Amazon.
Internet is
Okay.
for porn.
Yeah, let's
Internet
say
is
an Amazon. Okay, yeah, it was from them. But yeah,
Bleep that out.
other vendors
Do
do
exist.
exist. Yeah.
Okay.
And can I? Yeah. So yeah, no, yeah, it's been you know, coffee's one of the one of the least worst things you can have. But it's not the best. But there you are. Anyway,
Still can't get over that. 260 quid.
£265. Interestingly, their favourite one was £26.
£26.
cup.
Cup.
Was it 10 times worse?
Sakes.
Was it
Oh,
10
times
times worse than the other one?
More, no, they said their favourite one was the one that was 26 quid. They said that was better. Like the £265 one. They said the only reason you'd have it, he was like, it tastes like a cup of coffee, right? And he was sort of like, the only reason you'd have it is just to say, the bit that was most valuable was the receipt that said you'd pay £265 for it. So you could
That's
put that on
crazy.
Instagram or
That's
whatever
crazy.
you wanted to do.
It reminds me of I don't know if you remember the Lego movie when they're doing the Everything is Awesome piece at the beginning, and he goes to the coffee shop and he goes, I'll have a cup of coffee, and they're like $36, and he goes, awesome.
I remember that.
Yes.
You see that 265? Was it pound or dollar? Did you say? Pounds.
Pounds. This was in the UK.
So that idiot that bought that banana taped to a wall, that's the sort of thing he would drink.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, with his banana.
That'd be his breakfast.
It's basically a cup of freeze dried stuff that they found, and it's
As part of the video, they went to the Ritz. They went to a breakfast, which you have to go to the Ritz as for food. How much do you reckon a cup of coffee from the Ritz would be?
£20.
I'm actually gonna go less than that. I reckon 15.
£9.50,
There you go.
Yeah.
which is still ridiculous.
You
But
say that, but it's not that far off, depending on what you get. It's
oh
not
yeah,
that
if you've
far
got
off
a
what you
mocha
get.
waka with a chocolate swirl and ice and slice and a squirty cream
Yeah.
from Starbucks, you can easily get a 15 quid
Dom,
drink
what was
from
that thing?
Starbucks.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that podcast we did, and you looked up one of those coffees, and it was something like 1,800 calories. Do you remember
Oh, yeah,
that?
yeah, the calorie
Was it
count in one of those is like,
1,800
yeah,
calories for one cup.
Yeah. Because it contains actual bodily fluids from something.
And somebody was drinking like 6 cups a day or something.
Oh yeah.
I know.
What?
Like, what the hell?
It's
I mean, just your caffeine levels. You'd be like a squirrel on cocaine.
You'd be like Scrat from Ice Age.
Yeah. But
so
on
you want
cocaine.
like a,
Back to Portuguese snowblower.
Like to the Portuguese stuff, though, yeah.
I'm just trying to see. It's like a frappuccino,
How many licks would it take to consume a
like
box of
a
bouquet?
caramel cream frappuccino blended beverage. So the yeah. Right. So whole milk. We want. Let's go creme brulee toppings.
Dom's actually ordering this.
Don't ask him to do this.
No, but it's so bad because I don't think they're explicit, are they, about the number of calories? So if no one told you, if you just were completely clueless and you're like, oh, that tasted really good, I'll have like 3 of those a day. Can you imagine? It's like 3 times your recommended intake a day just on coffee. Or
Well, I just like made one, right, and added a bunch of flavors and stuff, and it's come out at 12,000 calories. 1,200 calories.
1,200 calories.
1,200.
Flipping heck.
Jesus.
That's
That is
impressive.
crazy.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of coffee.
The 1 cup is basically half your daily recommended calorie
Yeah.
intake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, how insane is that?
Well, here's one for the conspiracy theorists, and probably one for both of you to answer, because I'm curious what you'll say as well, Jerry. If aliens arrived on Earth, what snack would you bring them?
Snack.
Snack.
That's easy.
And it can't be a caramel mocha with blended cream swirl.
Okay, so I'm assuming we're talking about aliens from other life forms from... I mean, it would depend, depend on what form they took. So this is going to be the Neil deGrasse Tyson answer,
God.
right? This is, what form would they take? Because, are they bacteria? In which case, I would take them something... I would take them something that bacteria like, like sugar or something like that, potentially. If they are like the Greys from, if we're talking about aliens in terms of like, people type things, like beings with tentacles or whatever, I don't know what foods they would take them. I think, I don't know if it would be specific, but it would kind of be like various things. A bit like the kind of record that they put onto the Voyager thing, with music that we kind of have and stuff like that.
Charcuterie board.
A charcuterie board, a smorgasbord.
It's a good job they didn't come to you, Steve, and say, what music do you think we ought to put on this record? Big Gojira.
I would take a variety. There would be some metal in there. There would be big band. There might be a lot of there'd be a lot of jazz because I do like my jazz.
I'm genuinely impressed.
There would be ska.
I'm genuinely impressed, seriously, by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like ska music. Ska music's fun. Anything with energy, I would definitely not take rap and hip hop because I think that those
Would
are
the
not,
real Slim Shady please stand up?
those are. I would, if I was going to take one hip hop song, I would take "Lose Yourself." That is the only song that I would take. Otherwise, because I think that rap and hip hop is a war crime.
Wow. You need to get off the fence on that one, Steve.
It's a form. It's a form of psychological torture.
Well,
Says the man that listens to Slipknot.
so can I go full non Neil deGrasse Tyson answer on that?
Please
Space
do.
Raiders. Because why wouldn't you?
Space Raiders.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Right?
Monster Munch.
Monster Munch.
Monster
Thank
Munch.
Exactly. Pickled onion. All the way.
Munch, pickled onion.
Oh, I really want some Monster Munch
there's
now.
some Monster
Yeah, me
Munch.
too. I want some Wotsits. I want those like really cheesy Wotsits that are like knickknacks. Whatsit.
There's only one. The problem is with Wotsits, you have to eat them with cutlery.
Sorry, what?
Or
You have
gloves.
to eat them with chopsticks.
You are just.
With cutlery.
That's how I practice. That's how you practice to use chopsticks. Is you use
Chopsticks
them
with
on
Wotsits.
Wotsits, and then you don't get cheesy stuff on your fingers.
But that's half the fun.
No. Ugh.
And then your fingers are orange.
Nature
for like
gave
3
you
days.
cutlery. Nature gave you cutlery at the end of your hands.
I am going to confess a sin here. I think that eating foods that shouldn't be eaten with cutlery taste better when you eat them with cutlery.
So hang whoa. But let's back up there a second. Foods that shouldn't be eaten with cutlery taste better
when you eat them with cutlery.
Like pizza.
You mean foods that you don't normally associate being eaten with cutlery? So things
Pizza.
like crisps and
Crisps, yeah.
pizza. I can't eat pizza with cutlery. So
Have you ever
just not
have you ever
happening.
eaten crisps with cutlery? Like seriously?
Yeah, chopsticks.
No.
Well, hang on. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see how that would work when you're having Wotsits, but if you're having
Like ready salted. There are exceptions. Like ready salted is pretty difficult to kind of do with cutlery. Like even with chopsticks, that's quite difficult. But I'm more thinking like for me, things like pizza or like cake. I think tastes better when you eat it with cutlery rather than
cake you eat with a fork. Yeah, I mean I think cake should be eaten with cutlery. You know, I mean things like soup, for example.
Well, hang about.
Why would you use
sandwich? What about sandwich?
Can't eat sandwich
Yes, I
with
think
cutlery.
certain sandwiches taste better if you use a knife and fork.
I think that you
Burger?
are possibly. I think you're experiencing some sort of episode. See now, there are burgers that I've eaten with knife and fork, and the reason I've done it is because they're the kind of burgers you go to like a gastropub and they present you with a burger that is literally about 2 feet high, and you sit there and you go, how do I get this? And you have to kind of carve it down a bit. And
you sit on it like
unless
you
you
would
just basically
a suitcase. You sit on it like you would a suitcase, and you're trying to get the suitcase to zip up. You just squish that thing down and get it in there.
No, but I still
squish that thing down.
no, you don't squish that thing down.
Oh my god!
No. I think burgers taste better with cutlery because, like, 9 times out of 10, you take a bite of a burger and like half of it shoots out
true.
one way and it squidges this way. Whereas if you use a cutlery, you get a more even consistency.
Okay, so you're saying burger with cutlery, pizza with cutlery.
Pizza, I think, is one thing I like. Normally, will just eat it normally, but if I want to be a bit fancy, I'm happy. I
Sandwiches
quite like
with
cutlery.
cutlery. Okay, and crisps with chopsticks.
I don't do those all the time. Yeah,
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
you
chopsticks,
know,
definitely.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I like to eat soup out the bowl.
What you mean, like drink it?
Yeah, drink it. I like that for me is the way to have soup. Maybe not in a fancy
you know
restaurant.
my favourite
People
way to
look
drink
at you and you're going. Tell me.
You fill up the bowl with soup, and then
Okay. That's a good start.
That is a very good start, but then it gets worse. So then
You put it down the
you
drain.
dunk a tea towel into the soup and let it all soak up. And then you squeeze the soup out of the tea towel into your mouth whilst tilting your head back.
That is
Okay.
grim. That is just all kinds of
I-
wrong and
I-
grim, and I don't like
I
it.
genuinely
It makes
don't-
me very
And
uncomfortable.
then you
I'm-
suck on
yeah.
I don't like it.
I am starting to think that you might not ever have actually done this.
No, I've never done this. I
No,
Yeah, you go.
I'm just.
was trying to think of the most
are
horrifying
we
way
all-
of eating soup.
Yeah, no, out of a
That's-
sponge.
That's kind of like that's the type of like brain teaser where like there are things that just make you uncomfortable. It's a bit like that when we had Laura on the podcast and we showed the AI image of that person with the hands that were toes.
So many. My favorite AI image was about camping, and it put the campfire in the tent.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
The campfire in the tent.
And there's my other dad joke. Why is having sex at a campsite the best? Because it's fucking intense.
This is fucking
Very
intense.
good.
Oh,
Very good.
that is good. That is good. Always just
dear.
if you ever do decide to, get your freak on in a campsite, make sure you turn the light off inside the tent first.
There's Chats DVTs.
I can tell.
Hint of the day.
I can tell you from experience that it's quite a laugh when somebody doesn't, because I was out camping. A friend of mine and I did a bike trip, and we took up tents, and we were sitting in our tents, and all of a sudden you could hear people getting frisky, but they were trying to sort of, keep it a bit kind of muffled, it's like, and so it was all a bit kind of like, it was like this like rustling sound, and we're sort of sitting outside the tent, and of course. The hilarious part was they'd forgotten to turn the light off inside the tent. So they're trying to get this muted rustling so that nobody can know what they're doing, except that everybody in the campsite was watching them, knowing exactly what they were doing. And then when they finished, they all got a round of applause from the entire campsite.
Did they hold up scorecards as well?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Right. Anything else to ask Chat CVT?
I've got one more question. I've got
Okay.
one more question.
Hit
Have you
me.
got any,
No,
Jerry?
you go for it.
What is your useless superpower?
My useless superpower is that I am too pedantic at times, and I will leave home to go on holiday, and I will check that I've got my passport, wallet, phone 9 times before I even walk out the door. I have to know exactly where everything is at all times, and then I will check as we go to the airport on the bus or whatever. I will check constantly that they're in the same place that they should be.
I'm glad it's not just me that does that.
No, I do the same. For situations like that, for
And I've been-
travelling and things, I do the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, I make sure that everything has to go in the same pocket every single time, or in the same pouch every single time, and I know exactly where it is, and I know where to check, and I can check quickly. Then I'm like, done.
It's interesting because I do genuinely have, I've noticed, a very useless superpower.
Yeah.
I have the weird uncanny ability that if I haven't and I haven't seen a clock or I haven't looked at my watch, but I'll say to myself, oh, it must be about sort of 10 past 12, and I'll look and it'll be near enough 10 past 12. I have a weird ability to know the time without actually looking at a clock.
If I've got to go somewhere and I need to wake up at a certain time, I will tell myself to wake up at a certain time, and I will wake up just before my alarm goes. Every single time. Just before.
No, I can just go, oh, it's about this time, and I'll look and I'll be like, I'll be within 10 minutes, easy.
That's pretty cool.
Problem is, Winter screws with that with me. because I look outside and I go, it's dark, so it's somewhere between 4:30 and 6 the next morning, kind of thing. No clue whatsoever. None.
Although it is getting lighter
I know,
now.
thank goodness.
I drove home yesterday from Bournemouth at quarter to 4, and I didn't start the journey with my lights on. I did finish with my journey with the lights on, but it wasn't pitch black.
Thank God. It's for me. It's not so much the cold or the wet. It's the dark. That's the part that gets me.
I don't like the cold and the wet either.
Right. Any other questions, or are we going to move on to the quiz?
Let's do the quiz.
Yeah, the gladiator quiz. Right. So you need to have on your piece of paper. I need you to, on the left-hand side, to write in a column from top to bottom, 2000, all the way up to 2024. So 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on until you get to 2024.
Okay. You're doing this on a spreadsheet, Dom, aren't you? Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hey,
Done.
Right,
I've gone manual with this.
you're getting manual.
I've had to.
Relay instructions, Manuel.
Manuel. Right. You done?
No. I can't write that quickly. Hang about. Up to 24, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Bear with me, caller.
All right.
This is... Well, this is your request.
Okay.
No, not yet. I'm on 2019, 2020, 2021. I'm now going to have to turn the sheet over. 2022,
PTO.
2023, 2024. Right. Now I'm
It's
ready.
always when you see those signs where somebody's
Yeah.
like written something at the end.
Yeah.
You get to
Yeah,
this
it is
spot,
like that.
someone was a bit
Yeah.
ambitious.
I did want to point out also that if you're listening to this podcast and you'd like to take part in this quiz, pause now, get a piece of paper, and just do what I said, and then you can come back to it. So,
But not you, Swanee, because you're normally driving, so don't do that.
no, don't do
Concentrate on
that. Don't do
driving,
that.
thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Yes. Terms and conditions apply. Do not put your life at risk doing something stupid. Now, okay. So next to 2000, write Gladiator,
Okay.
and then next to 2024, write Gladiator 2.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Right. To see where you're going with this.
Right. So I'm going to give you a series of movies, and you need to work
Oh my
out.
good lord.
Where
This
they
is-
use-
Jesus. This is great. I love it. But
You need to
fucking this
work
is gonna
out.
be
You need to
difficult.
work out what year you're going to put them in order. Now there isn't one for each year, right? I'm going to point out there's only 12, right? And I'm not going to tell you what the movie is. I'm going to give you clues, and you'll get a point if you can guess from the clue what it is that I am. What movie it is, and then
God.
we'll work out the points at the end, right?
I think
so
this is, by the way, this is people's favourite thing, is watching me and Jerry be
Yeah,
tortured.
I think it is actually.
Yeah, I personally love watching you being tortured. So, without any further ado, right, I'm going to keep. And there's no pork markets and cheese and no thing. Just call out when you know what the movie is, and then what we'll do is.
Oh, you don't want us to, why, you don't want us to just fill it in and then
Pork
tell you at the
mince.
end?
No,
So nothing like that. Pork mince.
Sorry,
Okay.
pork market. So just shout out the name of the film, and you'll get the point. Let me just make a. Dom.
This is very
Jerry.
clever, Steve. I
Okay.
would say it's very creative.
Thank you. And then at the end, if you get the movies in the right order, you'll get additional points.
Oh, right. So we get points for shouting out the movie and
Yeah.
points for putting it in our spreadsheet. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready?
No,
Not really, but carry on.
It's the first time I've ever
Right.
said, I haven't said I was born ready. Go for it.
In this movie, we learn the consequences of hurting a man's dog.
John Wick.
There you go.
Oh, when did that come
Do
out?
we have to say the year now,
think
or do we? No.
No.
no,
You need
put
to,
it
down.
but you need to write it against the year that you
Right.
thought it was. It doesn't have to be against the year specifically, but they need to be in order.
Okay.
Okay, I think it was that.
Okay. The next one is a Jennifer Lawrence film. Also featured Leonardo DiCaprio, Timothy Chalamet. It was about the inevitable end of the world due to a cataclysmic astronomical event. It also featured Meryl Streep as the prime. As the
Don't Look
president.
Up.
Yes.
Never seen, never don't know that one at all. This is not my forte. Movies are not my forte. By the way, I get an extra bonus 5 points because Uber helped you out last time, Jerry.
Actually. He didn't really, but
I
give you
will. No. Okay. Right. The next film is That Christmas Film that features Hugh Grant.
Love Actually.
Yay!
Not seen it.
that. What
No.
Can you have not seen it?
the hell?
I can hear Sam Morris in my head
What the,
going, what
yeah,
the fuck?
Not just that. Pretty much everyone that listens to this going, Dom.
Right. The next film. The next film features. The next film is an animated film about a chameleon, who's voiced by Johnny Depp, and it's like a western.
Oh, is it like Ringo or Rango or something like that?
Rango.
Yeah.
Jeez.
If it's anything like when you guys do other podcasts, is me going, it's this, it's this.
Yeah. Why are you so fucking stupid?
Stupid! Stupid is it? Stupid's doing.
Oh dear.
Right. Next one is a film with Will Ferrell, who is set in Victorian London.
Sherlock Holmes.
No. You get the steal, Dom. You get the steal.
I need more clues.
It's set in London, and it features Will Ferrell as Sherlock Holmes, and his John C. Reilly as Dr. Watson.
It's not called Sherlock.
I don't know.
I know the film
No.
as well because we laugh
You know
about
the
it all
film?
the time. Let us
Yes.
it's called
I don't
a
know it.
self-photograph.
It's called Holmes
Holmes and
Holmes
Watson,
and
of
Watson.
course.
Oh, don't know that one. I only know Johnny Depp and Benedict Cumberbatch or Grumple Snorkack as
Rumpelstiltskin.
yeah.
What?
As Sherlock Holmes.
It was Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
Yes. No. Yeah, but the other one is the TV show which has Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Sheen.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman. That's it.
Martin
Sheen.
Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
But it's also the joke that the best thing is Benedict Cumberbatch alternate names.
I love that.
Bumpkinkin,
Bumpkin.
Timber Crotch.
yeah, Cucumber. And the other one that you can do it is Timothy Chalamet is the other one that they also do. It's alternative names to Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
So sorry, what was the name
Holmes
of the film?
and Watson.
Holmes and Watson.
Oh, I've got no idea where that's going to sit because I don't know it.
I love that film.
Right. The next film is a film set in South Africa during the 1995 World Cup. It features Morgan Freeman as Nelson Mandela and Matt Damon. as Francois Pienaar?
I can't remember. I know the film you're talking about, and I can't remember the name of it.
Never seen it. Don't know it.
Invictus.
That's it.
Oh.
Okay.
Right. Easy one now. It was Christian Bale's first outing as the Caped Crusader.
Batman Begins.
There you go.
Oh, I think that's kind of...
That's
Yeah.
that's older than. Yeah.
It's older than you think.
I think it's a lot older than people think. So I'm going to put that there. Then I'm probably still going to be wrong.
I joined the club.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I might have to change. Okay.
Next one is another Matt Damon film, but he gets stuck somewhere.
The Martian.
Hey.
It's my favourite book. Love the book. Absolutely incredible. If you've not read the
I have
book,
read
that
the
is a book
yeah.
to read.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
It's so good.
I think the
So
book's better
good.
than the film. I know the film's amazing, but the book's better
Yeah.
than the film.
The film's pretty.
The
The
film-
film's
I've
pretty.
actually read the book.
The film is
It
pretty
is.
accurate to the
Yeah.
to the book. To be fair, book's really good. Yeah.
Next one is another Western. It's got Christian Bale in it, and it's got the dude who was in Gladiator. Oh, it's just drawn a blank. Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe, and it's about a guy who's got to get another guy to a train.
Something 10 to Yuma. 310.
Yeah, what's the 310 to Yuma? That's one of my favorite
And
westerns.
that's older than. I think that's quite old.
Okay.
I'm going to go completely random on that one.
Next one is a movie we discussed already on the podcast. It is the one where they went to Madonna's house to get permission to use the Like a Prayer.
Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool.
No, just Deadpool. But I might have messed that up, so I will give it to Dom.
Are you going for the original Deadpool in this
Just
case?
original first Deadpool.
Oh shit!
So
When
can
did
I
that come out?
So can you have two films in the same year, or are they all different
Nope.
years?
All
shit.
different years.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not going by. I'm going by roughly when they are. I'm just because Steve only wants the order.
Yeah,
didn't you?
just want the
You didn't-
order. Just want the order. You don't need to tell me which year it came out,
So why do we have to write all the years down?
because it'll help you when it comes to working out where they came, in what order
That's
they
a
are.
good point.
Yeah. Yeah, because I roughly know when some of these came out.
Okay.
I'm just questioning one at the moment.
I've just changed my order actually.
It's like completely like randomized it. Right. So the next one is where someone has a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Taken.
Taken. Correct.
Was that really half? Was that? I thought that was. I reckon that's there then.
Is that all of them?
Nope, there's one more.
Let's say 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah.
So this one is about the captain of a ship
Captain Phillips.
that gets taken over by Captain Phillips. Well done.
Oh, don't know that one at all. Guessing.
Right. So going into the next round, Dom is in the lead with 6. Jerry, you're slightly behind on 4. But every one you get in the right order, you get an extra point. So the first one we knew was Gladiator. What's the next
Love
one?
Actually.
Yep. Dom,
Fuck.
what'd you have?
I had Taken.
So Love Actually 2003.
Oh,
Shit.
well, I've got it in the right place. I put it in 2003, but I
I put
thought
2001, so I got that
Shit.
wrong. Wow. Okay.
Okay. What do you got next?
I had
Batman
Batman
Begins,
Begins
yeah.
next.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I
2000
get a point.
2005.
Jesus.
Oh, shit,
I put
I'm marvel.
2008.
Yeah. Okay.
What did you have next?
I had Love Actually next.
I
so
had
I'm
310
out
to
on that
Yuma.
one.
Yeah. Correct. 2007.
The actual. Oh, I had 2009.
2007. What did you have next?
Taken.
Yes.
I don't look up
What?
because I don't know that one.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you serious? I had that at...
Yeah.
I had
2008.
that 2010. I'm literally 2 years out on everything. Right, okay.
What'd you have next?
Rango.
Nope.
Ooh.
Don,
I
what'd you have next?
I had Invictus.
Invictus, you were correct. 2009. 2009. 2009. And halfway through, you're both now level pegging.
Look at that.
Right, what did you have next?
John Wick.
Rango.
Nope. Yes. Rango 2011.
I had, yeah.
What'd
I
you
had
have
it
next?
for 2011 for Rango.
There you go. What did you have
Captain
next?
Phillips.
Correct. What did you have next, Dom?
I had 310 to Yuma because mine's obviously all completely out of order. So
I don't wanna-
I'm
So Captain
screwed.
Phillips is what,
So
2012?
2013. Right, what you got next?
I had Rango next and then
John
Captain
Wick.
Phillips. So
John Wick is the right answer. 2014.
2014, yes.
I thought it was Weller.
Got it.
Next,
I had Captain Phillips.
The
Nope.
Martian.
what'd you have? Yes, 2015.
I had it in
The Martian,
2015.
2015.
This is unbelievable. Flipping heck. Okay.
What was next?
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
2016. Then what's next?
Holmes,
Holmes
and Watson.
Holmes and Watson, correct.
Yay.
2018, and then that kind of narrows it down.
Then I had Don't Look Up.
Correct.
I had that in
Dom, you didn't
2021.
have Don't Look Up.
As a matter of interest, what you...
2021.
Oh my god.
I
So
don't
the-
look up in like 2005 because I didn't know.
The,
So I got
the,
4 points.
The runaway winner was Jerry with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 points.
I got 10.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Correct. So there you go. What did you think?
I loved it.
you enjoy that?
Nice. That was
a
good.
brilliant
That was well
quiz.
good.
Can I just...
Thank you.
What'll be interesting is... So, Love Actually, I had 2001. And you're saying that was 2003.
2003, according to
Right,
IMDb.
so Batman Begins, I had 2008. You said that was 2005.
2005.
Wow. 310 to Yuma, 2009.
2007.
Taken, 2010. You said 2008.
2008. Invictus 2009.
Okay.
Rango 2011. Captain Phillips 2013. John Wick 2014, which is interesting because it's now a 10-year-old film.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
The Martian 2015. Deadpool 2016. Holmes and Watson 2018, and Don't Look Up 2021.
Wow.
But the reason I call it the Gladiator quiz, obviously, as you've probably just figured out, is that it's bookended by Gladiator films.
And that's
Damn
a
it.
24-year gap. Flipping
Yes.
heck. Right. Have either of you seen Gladiator 2?
Not
No,
yet. No.
neither.
I would like
That
to.
killed that section pretty
Check,
quickly, didn't
please.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've not. I've deliberately stayed away from people's criticisms and all sorts of stuff of it because most people just seem to be like warriors or keyboard warriors who just have opinions about stuff that they don't like. People of a certain color being in certain roles and stuff like that. So I tend to avoid.
I
that
heard
crap.
something the other day
But,
and I was just like, no, la, I'm not listening to this because
Yeah.
I just want to go in there with an open mind. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me
But
too.
I have to say, I was rewatching the first film. I know it's your favourite film, Dom. I mean, it's an absolute masterpiece. The cinematography, the music, everything.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, and the special effects, they still stand up today. The CGI that they had, which was so limited at the time, still stands up today.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, they didn't have much. Didn't have much CGI. They had a lot of.
They're to CGI
Didn't they
in.
copy and paste a section? They
what's his name?
built a section of the Colosseum, didn't they? They filled it up with people.
Yeah,
then
they
they
had to
cut and pasted
yeah.
that, didn't they? Copied and pasted.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Control
I can't
C
think of his name. What's his
then.
name?
Control V. Control V.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley
Scott.
No. Who was? It's the who's the who plays the owners?
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed.
Proximate. He
Yeah,
died
Yeah.
3 weeks before principal photography ended.
Yeah, and they needed him for a scene.
Yeah, so that's the only CGI.
Could you come back? Yeah,
Whoa,
they had to also
whoa.
CGI
What
yeah.
did they? I didn't know that. Which part of the film did they have to CGI him
He died.
in?
Yeah, I mean, he was permanently drunk. I mean, permanently drunk in that film. He
Yeah, but he's been permanently drunk his whole
CGI
life,
him.
isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, they probably had to CGI him being sober for quite a lot of that film.
Nope.
But he died. Yeah, he snuffed it, and then they got to the end and they were like, "Oh, we need this extra scene."
No way. No
Yeah.
way. And then there's another famous
But
actor.
I don't think it's like CGI. I don't think it's like of his face, is it? I think it's like of a. There's something that kind of makes it because.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the end of
I can't remember what it was.
I'm trying to remember the ending. Can't remember.
I think it was a scene that they were supposed to have done like right at the beginning. Anyway.
And then, but then you had another famous actor as well who played. You know, the guy who goes, "I present you the Battle of Carthage with the barbarian horde." Him.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy
with
with the wig,
and the massive eyebrows. He's a famous. He's also a famous actor. He was famous.
I
in the
thought you were going to say
60s.
famous alcoholic.
Well, no, probably from the 60s. I think he was big in the 60s and 70s. What's his name? I've forgotten his name.
I always wondered why they hired Oliver Reed for that film. I
And he
mean,
was good.
Yes, he was good as an actor, but he was
risky,
problematic. He was always going to be problematic because.
Do you remember him on?
What is Oliver Reed
Have you
for?
seen that clip? It's really actually quite sad. He rocked up to, was it Michael Parkinson? He did some chat show back in the 80s, and he was absolutely rat-assed. And he ended up going and singing "God Save the Queen." On stage. You need to look at it. It's tragic. No, it is. It's tragic. It is
quite
tragic.
horrible.
But what I don't understand, never understood, was like why anyone in the BBC would have been like, no, it's all right, you can let him on stage. He was absolutely.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
No, see, what's the worst that could
What
happen?
go
And it was
wrong?
like literally,
Yeah.
it was. I remember cringing watching it. It was so sad,
God.
really. But great
I
film.
don't know
Dom.
what many films he's been in.
He's been in.
I mean, I think he's been in some war films and whatnot, hasn't he?
Oliver Reed's been in.
But yeah,
a fair,
24
he's been in
years.
a fair amount.
Incidentally, do you guys know how many years were between Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah, okay, so that will be. So Top Gun came out in what, 86? Okay, so Top Gun Maverick was only 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3?
Don't know. 2, 3,
Yeah.
something like that. What year were we in there?
2025. So, yeah, exactly. Well, we're still in. Which this month has felt like a year. So that's that's a massive gap. And you take a look at Tom.
Well, it's 33 years. So it's 33 years. How
No, more
Tom
than that,
Cruise
40.
still looks like Tom Cruise? No, it's 30. I'm
No,
sure
hang
it's
about.
33 because
85.
there was a reference to it. There was a reference to it in the number of the amount of ammo he had in the jet as he's chasing that other jet through the canyon, and it stops at 33, which I thought was
Steve.
the
Steve,
thing.
It's just under 40 years. I tell you why, because when I had the school reunion, we were like, my God, we haven't seen each other for
36. 36
years. Jeez.
And they're going to proceed with plans for Top Gun 3 in
Are they
2024.
really? I mean, he's...
Yeah.
They made a boatload of money.
Yeah,
Why
true.
wouldn't they do it?
And to be fair, I mean, Tom Cruise, fair play to him. Flipping heck. He's doing all right. But what...
I mean, he's in his 60s. If I look that good and I'm in my 60s, then I will have done quite a
What
lot of
still
gym
gets
work.
me
Yeah, but
is when you watch John
He's
Wick
got
4...
money, hasn't he?
Well, when you watch John Wick 4 and you watch Donnie Yen and Keanu Reeves
I know.
fighting each other, and you
know.
think you
I know.
don't, the age thing doesn't come into it. You're just watching them going,
No.
oh my god,
No.
like look what the Donnie Yen.
So there was a thing about the next John Wick, but it's not going to be John Wick.
The
It's going to be
ballerina.
like Abigail Simpson or something. The ballerina, that's it. Yeah. It's not going to be about John Wick, but it's going to be in the universe.
Yes.
Yes, because
I quite like that.
I
idea.
love that idea. However, I will say this: when they announced that they were doing a series called The Continental, I was so excited until I started watching it. I got to like episode 2 and went,
I got bored.
"What the hell? This is absolute chud." They completely
I got
ruined it.
so
They
bored.
completely and utterly ruined it. And in fact,
Yeah.
they then tried to make that into an action series, which is totally the wrong thing to do.
Did they?
Well, they did because there was still, yeah, it was all.
I just got so bored. I got so bored. There was like a fight scene at the end of the last episode, and I think that if you'd got there, you were quite superhuman.
Oh, I gave up
Because
after
it was
2
so
episodes.
dull.
It was awful. It was a
So
shocker.
dull. Absolutely shocking, terrible. I mean, it's interesting because I did. So, did John Wick actually die at the end of John Wick
Well,
4?
Hashtag spoilers.
Hashtag. I would hazard a guess that he
Hashtag
doesn't.
spoilers.
I would guess that he doesn't.
Of course they didn't.
Because why would you? Actually, there's an interesting story behind John Wick as well. So in the first John Wick, they ran out of money. It hit crisis point. Literally at the point they were just like, we're almost at the point of finishing production, and everything. The money just dried up, and apparently the studios were like, sorry, we're not giving you any more money for this. And Eva Longoria, the actress Eva Longoria, said, fine, I'll stump up some money. So she stumped up $9 million to get the film finished, not knowing.
As long as you put me in a
They-
photograph.
They pitched it to,
Oh no, that's somebody else. That's somebody
What's
else,
that?
isn't it? The person in the photograph isn't.
no,
I
that's
thought
not
that
Eva
was
Longoria.
but
No,
it's
no,
not.
someone else.
That is, but she's credited. Weird enough, she actually
Who,
is
Eva
credited
Longoria?
in the film, even though.
The other one.
No. The Michelle Monaghan. No, not Michelle Monaghan.
No, I know I know who you mean, but I don't know her name.
Bridget
Monaghan.
Monaghan.
Bridget
Bridget Monaghan.
So-
Yay.
Yeah, she at the time
Test Stevie
they
T
were
knows
like,
shit.
hey, do you want to? Are you okay just to give us some money, please, just to finish this? She's like, what is it? And they're like, it's John Wick, and it's like, okay, whatever. I might as well. She had no idea. Yeah, she had no idea what a hit. I mean, talk about an investment, right? So I don't know what deals she
Yeah.
must have made for that. There's like, well, yeah, fine, I'll stump up $9 million, but you're going to have to. I need to have a slice of that pie.
You need to pay
Yeah,
me
you
back.
need to pay me back. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, hopefully it'll be a hit. I hope it's a hit. And then, yeah, the rest is history. I read that the other day.
The budget for that was quite low.
It was quite low,
Wasn't it?
but and for some weird reason, yeah, relatively low. And for some reason, they didn't have. They had to borrow.
I mean, if you can call millions of dollars low, but yeah.
But how old is Donnie Yen? See, this is what I want to. So
Donnie Yen is in his 80s.
no,
I
he's
think, now.
60s. He'll be 60s. There's no way he's moving like that. So when did John Wick 4 come out? That was John Wick 4. That's 2023. So that was.
Oh no, he's younger. He's 61. I thought he's younger than I thought. I suppose because the last film that I saw him other than John Wick was Ip Man, where they aged him deliberately.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, you're like, what? He's 61 now.
So it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, 61. So he would have been what, 59 when,
yeah.
or 60
Yeah.
when he filmed John Wick 4. The guy's moving like, yeah, it's just incredible.
Well, yeah. You talk about low budget. I mean, I think the lowest low budget film that I could look up was the Blair Witch Project. So the Blair Witch Project, they spent $35,000 to $60,000, somewhere in that region, filming it. So it later received $200,000 and $750 from Artisan Entertainment for post-production, but it made $248.6 million.
Now there's a return on investment. That's incredible,
Right?
isn't it? Really, when you think of all the
30 yeah, like so about $70,000 shooting it, and then they had to get post-production money. But
and it made how much again?
248 million, 248.6 million.
Whoa!
And they didn't even spend $1 million on it. I mean, Rocky famously was shot for about $1 million, and it made in its opening 225 million, which equates to over $1 billion in 2021 money. That was 1976.
No way.
And I think Sylvester Stallone actually funded some of it.
Flipping heck.
But
incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
incredible.
Yeah. Saw was made with Saw didn't have much money behind it either. The original Saw. You can tell. I loved it. I loved the original Saw.
I watched all of them actually. I ended up watching all of them.
Yeah. I've watched all of them as well, and the spin-offs, the Jigsaw spin-offs, and all those. Again, that's now becoming a lemon.
World.
Yeah, it's now becoming something that's been a bit squeezed.
It's a pith. They're taking the pith.
The ham, the pith, and the legend.
Yeah, yeah. The Chester Bennington was one of the Saws. Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. He was in one of the Saw movies. He had a cameo role.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah. It's like
Chastity
see, this is it.
I know everything.
Oh, have we got any more sections, or are we done?
Well, that's the end of my sections that I had planned. So I think that this just takes us to final thoughts.
Off you go, Jerry.
No. Dom needs to go first this time.
So I'll
Okay,
go
go on
first.
then.
I'll go first.
Give me a minute
So-
to think about this one.
My final thoughts. I think that as we go into 2025, things around the world look hopeless. The rise of the right wing, things seeming to be directed towards populists. It does feel quite desperate. But I think that everyone, if you stay in the fight, we'll get there. I'm hoping that the world doesn't come to an end. But you know what? If it does, enjoy what you've got left.
On that cheerful note,
Deep. Jerry.
I know nothing.
So after this, I'm going to go and get some chopsticks and a bag of Wotsits, and I think everyone should.
Do you know
try
what?
it.
I was thinking that. I'm going to have a go.
My final thought is, I think I need to try Wotsits with chopsticks. I think it's just something that needs to be done now.
After this, you're going to go out and get absolutely soaked. You're going to get absolutely soaked out there. I'm looking out the window and I'm going, I've got to take the shits out in this. And then, you know what the best part about having a spaniel is when it's raining? She will find every single puddle and she will just get into it. Like, she'll turn herself into a submarine.
Well, I've got to go out there as well because I need to go shopping. So I have got to go shopping on a Sunday.
Hooray.
Pray for my soul.
Sorry to hear that, Tom. Right, final thoughts. You can't get away with it.
Yeah. I think my final thoughts are this has been a cracking episode. I don't know the dates of movies very well. That was completely hopeless. What else?
You need to expand your variety of films that you've seen.
Wait 1 second. Dom
so you've now got,
me on the
you've got
list,
a list
on the actual film names. He was way ahead.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. You need to watch films that aren't just Marvel.
It's a bit harsh.
I haven't watched a Marvel thing in ages.
Or, spread your wings into westerns.
Actually, 310 to Yuma is a good
a big
film.
fan of
I'm not a
westerns.
huge fan of westerns, but
Three-
310 to Yuma is very
The
good.
310 to you. Also, Weston's Bone Tomahawk. Holy
Never even
smoke!
heard of it.
You've never heard of Bone Tomahawk? It's got some really big names in it. The guy from Lost.
That narrows it down.
Hurley.
No. The main guy from Lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in it. James Fox.
Yeah, something Fox,
something like
yeah.
that. Something Fox. It's got Kurt Russell in it, and the guy who played the CIA guy in A-Team, whose name I can never freaking remember. It's very good. It's very, very good.
CIA guy.
It's a bit of a horror. Bone
I don't know horror
Tomahawk.
films.
When did that come out?
I don't know. But it's on Amazon Prime at the moment for
Seriously,
free.
I've never even heard of this, Steve.
No. It's very good.
Tomahawk. Okay.
Tomahawk. It's got Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson is the guy I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Matthew Fox.
Matthew, that's it. God, I always
Matthew
wondered what
Fox.
he's. And most of the characters, apart from Evangeline Lilly, who ended up starring in Ant-Man, I don't know where anyone else. Oh no, that's not true. They had. Was it Zaid? He ended up in a series. But didn't he?
Maggie Thingy Watson became the daughter in Taken.
That's right.
I don't know what happened to
I
any
don't
of the
know.
others. Saeed had a
Hang
role
about.
in.
One of them ended up in Lord of the Rings, for goodness sake. He was one of the hobbits.
What is one of the orcs? Oh, Charlie.
Yeah.
Dominic
Yes.
West.
Oh, Dominic
Moynihan, yes.
was
Moynihan.
played plays Mary
Yes.
Ardock.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Hurley. He's been in other films. He's fine.
He's fine.
They probably made so much money. They made so much money off Lost. I mean, if you've seen that Alex Cross film, which Matthew Fox is in, where he's lost
Yes.
tons and
Yeah,
tons
I
of
saw
weight. That is brilliant. And I can't remember what it's called. Oh, my brain's just collapsing at the moment.
But I thought you were the real AI. The
Yeah,
real AI.
I'm rebooting.
Rebooting.
I'm rebooting.
We need more memory.
I need more memory. I can't remember. I'll look at. Just Alex Cross. Just Alex Cross. Watch him in Alex Cross, and he's like shrunk down, but muscles, just muscles.
Well,
Muscles. Sorry, Dom. I interrupted your final thoughts.
No, it's fine. My final thoughts are like, this has been just a good podcast, and I've really enjoyed it. My brain is still like cotton wool after all the houses that I'm looking at. So,
What's your catchline going to be for it?
what's my?
Your thing on YouTube.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought of that yet.
oh,
Because you got the opportunity to go like we asked, but you did that once before.
Yes, we asked Chat
yeah.
GPT to answer all our questions. We asked AI to answer all our questions. But we can talk about the Trump inauguration again on that. We can do the Hawk Tour girl. We can do the.
Oh,
We could do like. There's loads of options here.
So ridiculous.
No, thanks.
So ridiculous.
And on that note, thank you very much for watching and listening, folks. Thank you very much.
Much love to everyone. Much love
Yes.
to everyone. Thank you for listening to my bullshit. And I'm hoping that there hasn't been too much for Dom to edit out.
Shouldn't be
Steve,
nothing.
thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Bye.